You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/TruthOnTapShow. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/TruthOnTap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NOLYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Opening up the truth pipeline for these bitches.
Truth on Tap. Truth.
My right to say how I say it's mine to give. My hands, my heart, it's mine to share. My songs, my heart.
Truth on Tap.
Invite to abuse. Just the wish to use. Chop it up and recombine. Chop it up and
Truth on Tap.
July 24th, 2014, midnight in the house. It is Genghis featuring Stereo Black Star, Super Negro. I like it. It gets me going. Yeah. Gets me a little shot in the arm that I need. Just a little fire up there. Let's do that. Listen closely. The way they say it in French, I love Super Negro. Get that shit out of here. Yeah. I think my problem with this song mostly just has to do with French people trying to be hard. You can't do that. You can't. You're a mime. You know, you sell frankfurters. How do you say that word? Frankfurters in France. If you do, then I can see you in a hat out there doing that, old dude, drinking wine under the table. But you're not hard. Go to Compton. You'll see what hard is. Yeah, I haven't been to Compton. I just know. I watch TV. And I have been in some ghettos. Most certainly have. Yep. If you've never had to go at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday into the ghetto projects and take somebody's couch from them because they didn't make their payment, you haven't been to the ghetto. That's hard to do, especially when there's a kid sitting there or standing at that point. That's cold. I shouldn't have said that. Well, it's true, goddammit. Truth on Tap. Yeah, these are the same kids that'll end up in prison, you know. For whatever reason, they found themselves in hard times, and desperation becomes the song of the day. And desperation leads to crime, and crime pays sometimes. Sometimes it pays. And it is like an addiction. It's like gambling. If you've ever studied psychology, you know that the occasional win is far more addictive than the predictable win 1 in 10 times. So they're going to end up on death row, aren't they? Things are going to get out of hand, get in a fight, pop a cap. Right? That's what they just did. That's what Genghis just did. Now, should they be sentenced to death if the evidence suggests that they're guilty? That's the question we're going to ask tonight. But I'm not taking it too seriously, folks, and this is not a topic that deserves anything other than serious debate. So I need to tell you up front my frame of mind, and that's that I'm fucking around tonight. I have not poured tens of thousands of hours of thought into this topic. But it's on my mind tonight after an article that Paul Dembski posted from the BBC about a guy taking 2 hours to die. That is not acceptable in America. That's not acceptable. We do not torture Americans. That has to stop now. that has to stop. And I'm just going to go ahead and put forth my newest and latest and greatest and semi-polished and slightly dusted off policy on the death penalty as far as my own personal policy goes and what I think about it. And I'm going to hear you. I'm going to hear you argue yours. Yeah.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
And, you know, generic hip-hop, this is a required song to get me fired up. I don't start a show without this one till I find something better. If I weren't as... I don't have permission to modify the song. If I did, I would double it. I might just play it twice, you know, but there's something about it being shorter. It's like a fast-forwarded energy song to me. So maybe that's how you take it. It's a small pill, you know. I like scratching. I like a little bit of jazz with my crazy hip-hopishness. Something that makes me want to bob even when I can't, you know, like get a little leg going. And this does it for me. Does it do it for you? Is this a good song to you, or do you think this is just garbage? I mean, it is something somebody created on their computer. We know that. Most of my songs are. But some people have some talent, and I think this is one of them. NOLYING. They've got a few good songs. Yeah, I'm trying to feel it. I'm not very awake right now. You know, I slept for a few hours today. I kind of got the fog about my head. I'm drinking some coffee, trying to get into it, because no show is worth my time if the people in it aren't energized. And, you know, I was listening to Goofy Bone last night. He tends to get riled up, and that works for him. I think that works for him. I honestly do. I don't think you should do it any other way. And that injects some excitement into the show. But if he were just doing the pass, pause, you know, here's a joint, I wouldn't be able to listen to that. I don't know about you. He's got plenty of listeners, so he has no problem there. But I'm glad he gets fired up. That keeps his show interesting, and I think it works for just about everybody. All right, last but not least, I got you a new one today. Texas Radio Fish. Yeah, Texas Radio Fish. Funk Change featuring Mana Junkie. This is a good one. And also featuring Spinning Merkaba, JL Brock 44, SS, Abstract Audio, and Citizen XO. Whatever. Make me move, bitch. I don't care who you're featuring. You could have you could have the entire Philharmonic behind you, but I need to hear it. Just do it. Just do it. You know. We're not in here looking at credits. How many movies do you watch and you stare at the credits? I had no idea that Louis Erningston was going to be fourth production designer. Wow. Shut the fuck up. I came for the movie. You know, we're an instant consumption society. Give no credit to the creators. They're mostly machines anyway, aren't they? Whether it's a Little Debbie Snapcake or fucking generic hip-hop session 1, a machine did it. Yeah, a bit of funk in here I like. Feel it with me. I'm just going to let you feel this for about 30 seconds. I'll shut up.
Well, I was born on the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And I never look back.
Best thing to come out of Texas since Steer, man.
Stand out in the back. I love my family. I love my enemies. I love the chaos that's burning deep inside of me.
Sing it, bitch. I'm moving my head a little, definitely. Texas Radio Fish, clearly swimming among the airwaves. Yep, now they're breaking it down. This isn't a good wake-up song for me, but it is a very calm dose of funk that I can easily digest even when my stomach's not ready for it. I like that about it. A little bit cooler than I'm used to launch the show, but I'll take it. We'll do it.
Changes. Changes come. And changes go.
Changes come. And changes go.
Seasons change. The time change. People change. In your pocket there is change. And nothing stays the same. Time changes everything. Nothing stays the same per se. But here I am breathing, living my life the way I want to. And I have no one else to blame. Changes. We change. Change to channel. Change the news. Change something. Or better yet, get the blues.
Yeah. So, and now we got to go to ENOE, Copenhagen NV. I was going to stop at that last song, but it was not adequate. I just got a call end of the show. Don't call in yet, guys. We're not ready. I gotta do my spiel, and then we can get into the debate. But don't call yet. If you want to call in, you can Skype me, mr.kevin.kierstead, K-I-E-R, stead as in steady. It's mr.kevin.kierstead. You can call in on your telephone, 910-NO-LYING, 910-665-9464. 910-665-9464. You can be on the show, just don't call in yet. I'm not answering. Yeah, because I got to get fired up a little. This is a new thing I'm doing. It's relatively new. I mean, I haven't even been doing this show for a full year yet, okay? And that includes my blog talk radio bullshit. Well, actually, I might be at a year if I include that, but I'll have to look. I don't think I am. I think it was in August that I started last year. So along that 1 year timeline, if you want to look at that as a condensed form of time, then yes, this is brand new. I'm doing this warm-up thing. I have to. I mean, I don't want to listen to people. I look at what I want to listen to. This is what you should do. If you're a show host or you're an author, it doesn't matter what you do. What is it that interests you in the work of others? That's what you should do. Because if you're not even interesting to yourself, it's going to come across on the airwaves. It's going to come across through the typed word. It's going to come across through your voice, through your actions, through your body language. If you're a person who speaks in public, you need to figure out what gets you going and use it. I'm not saying copy anybody. I'm just saying you know what's exciting. Do it. If you can't be exciting, fucking practice. You know? Yeah, Copenhagen NV's getting me fired up. I need to crank it on my end. There we go. Get a little volume in here. I just need to let this rattle me up. It feels like Fight Club to me. It feels very, very dubious, and it feels like there's going to be a certain amount of mayhem during this song if I use my imagination. I'm in a cellar in Chicago. There are 17 other white guys around me because black guys don't do Fight Club. I don't know why. I don't know. They have to fight anyway, so they're like, what the fuck do I need a club for? White dudes be doing that. And, me and some other dudes are taking some swings at each other, losing some teeth, getting some broken noses. It's all good. It's fine. It's entertainment. Makes you feel alive, doesn't it? Isn't that what the whole core of Fight Club was about? How to feel alive by approaching death? Sure, that's what it was. Oh, they'll say something different. They'll try to put in some sort of anti-corporation phenom in there, but really, it's about feeling alive. It's what people want to do. You know you felt most alive when you were approaching death. You were almost in a car accident, or you came out alive. You never felt better, did you? The grass was greener, sky was bluer. Your Slurpee tasted better than any Slurpee you've ever had. Yeah, because you approached death. I jumped out of an airplane 12,500 feet in the air. First skydive I ever went on. And it was almost dark because we had so many people jumping that day that they just couldn't get all the plane loads up. But they went ahead and took a chance with us. You're not supposed to jump at dark until your 80th jump. Well, it was my first one. I never felt more alive than when I landed safely on the ground, on my ass. They tell you can land standing up, but that's bullshit for new people. Yeah, you're going down. You're going down on your ass. Yep. Flying through the air at 125 miles an hour toward the Earth resets your perspective, my friend. And I'm going to reset your perspective tonight on approaching death. That's what we're going to do. ENOE Copenhagen NV, good song. Thank you. You fired it up for me. Do appreciate that. Definitely do. Now, we're going to get into the meat of what the topic says we're supposed to be talking about. Now, I make up these topics, and therefore I'm not overly committed to staying on topic. Hello, Kim. Kim Ashbury-Moxley in the chat room. She wants to talk about the death penalty. Listen, let me go ahead and give you guys a bit of a background. This is how fast my show has evolved. I didn't know what I was going to do a show on tonight. I asked Kim. Kim said death penalty. I said, okay. It was that simple. And this was like an hour and a half ago. And the reason we were even talking about it is because I shared an article that a friend had shared from BBC about the guy taking 2 hours to die. That's not acceptable in this country. There are some things we need to talk about as a premise before we get into it. All right. First of all, you have to decide why it is you are for or against the death penalty, and don't lie to yourself about it. Is it because you imagine Killer X having killed one of your children or your family members, and the rage takes over? Do you believe that in any court case ever heard in America, that evidence could rise later that might exonerate someone? And if you believe that, especially as the science evolves, then do you want their chances to go from 4% of being exonerated to 0? Go ahead and kill them? Do you know how many innocent people have died because of the death penalty in America? And how okay is that with you? Is that your view? We're gonna break a few eggs to make an omelet? Not acceptable to me. I got to tell you, maybe I've changed over the years. I've never been overly opinionated on the death penalty. There was a core of my spirit that said, well, eye for an eye, eye for an eye. And then as time went by and I looked at how fucking flawed we are as humans, say nothing of the circus that our judicial system has become, I can't feel good about the death penalty. I can't feel good about it as long as there's a chance that this person may be found not guilty later. Based on the science, based on new witnesses, based on video audio evidence that might emerge, based on forensic evidence that might emerge, based on a reversal of laws that would be retroactive in effect. These are things that all come into play when you decide, do we take this person's life? All right. Now, on the other side of that coin, let's say you know they're guilty. The evidence was not only overwhelming, but they confessed. And they knew details that only the killer could have known. You're sure of it. You're sure of it. If anybody just tried to call, wait to call. We're not ready for calls yet. I'm getting notifications from Google Voice, yet I'm not getting the call. So I'll have to open all that up. Just hang with me. If you're sure, I mean, if you're positive that the person committed murder, now I would give you a pass. And that pass would be, I can't blame you if you think the death penalty is right for them. And that's where we get into discussion. And that's where I'll stop on that. That situation where we know the person is guilty. There's just nothing out there that might suggest he's not. What I need to talk about more than that is when we don't know. Because isn't that most often the case? Isn't it? Do you know when you see a court case that someone's guilty? How do you know? How do you know 100%? And you say, well, the legal system says we only have to know beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, the entire definition of reason is not a static definition. It is subject to interpretation, and the human mind is not an evolved mind. We want to think we are because we tend to dominate the intelligence structure on this one planet. We aren't shit. I'm telling you, we're less than 1% of grand total universal knowledge available, and we think we're God's gift to the universe. And we really ought to take a step back and say, we don't have a lot of our shit together. No reason to hate on ourselves. I'm not saying that. We can celebrate our existence, but we just need to see where we are on the graft of grand potential. That's what I'm going to call it for now. I don't know. But what I do know is that when you take a look at us 1,000 years ago, and then you take a look at us 10,000 years ago, and then you take a look at us 100,000 years ago, and you begin to graph that, you see that there is a growth going on that has no sure sign of discontinuation. We're going to keep on growing in intelligence and science. And that means that right now, unless my graph is wrong, unless I can't count on history to be a teacher, which I think I can, that we are in a whole hell of a lot. We don't have it together, folks. Ego tells us we do. Ego's helped us survive. We want to believe we're doing things right. We want to believe we know things. Ancient peoples wanted to believe that you could drill a fucking hole in somebody's skull and save their life. The world's flat. The Copernicus, Aristotle. You're gonna sail off the edge of the world if you sail too far to the west. The sun is revolving around the Earth. We're the only solar system. We're the only planet with life, and we know it. Well, that's bullshit. And every day that goes by, science is showing us more things we thought we knew that turn out to be bullshit. So if I've got John Doe sitting in front of a jury of 12 imperfect people in a courtroom with a judge who's already got his preconceptions, with 2 lawyers who just want their fucking names beside a win, you want me to say, okay, death is right for him. I don't know if I can do it. I don't think I can do it anymore, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take a position on this. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think it's time for America to do away with the death penalty. I do. We just are not advanced enough to know for me to even get into the argument of whether it's right when we're certain someone is guilty. I got some sites up here. We're going to give you the ACLU's view on the death penalty. We're going to give you some information from deathpenalty.org. We're going to give you 5 arguments for and against the death penalty. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Innocence Project, which is a project I believe very much in. I would rather see 10 walk free than 1 innocent murdered. I just can't rest with that. I just can't rest with that, because that makes our government worse than the criminal they executed. He was innocent. Okay, somebody killed somebody that was innocent. They would have been equal with our government. This guy killed nobody. He's been exonerated, but our government put him to death. That's okay with you? We're going to lose a few like that. That's just the way it has to be. We're going to talk a little bit about how the death penalty has been proven over and over again to not be an effective crime deterrent. And we're going to see how that sits with you. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the international view on the death penalty. I'm not an expert at any of this. I pull up sources and I read them. I consider myself a relative expert on human behavior and our deep character flaws that we all have, and we do. Our inability to understand that we make mistakes in our perception, and that our perceptions vary as wildly as types of grass. Just the way it is. It's just the way it is. We think we're a lot more than we are. If that's one thing, if somebody said to me, Kevin, I'm listening to your show. I'll get to you what you're saying in there, Kim. I know you're spirited about this. And hey, Random Radio Network, what's up, man? Welcome, Alan, to the show. Let me tell you something, Alan. You can ask Kim too. Oh, Steve is trying to call. Okay, we'll talk to Steve in a little bit. Don't call in yet. I'm not ready for you. But I'll pull up the Google page and we'll take some calls in a little while. I come up with this stuff off the top of my head, Alan, and I'm not an expert on this. I'm not an expert on law, but I'm almost an expert on Socrates. And hell, law was basically built on Socrates, at least legal arguments. What's funny is in a courtroom, if someone requests a jury trial, judges are usually very fucking intelligent. Some of them are bought, some of them are a bit outdated, but they're usually very intelligent. 12 peers, not always so intelligent. Very subject. Did you see Chicago? Did you see the musical Chicago? I loved it. I loved what Chicago did by exposing what really happens in an American courtroom. And what it did was to show that some trickery, some sleight of hand, or in Richard Gere's character's case, the razzle-dazzle, can get a jury to do about anything. You know, I had a guy last night on the show said, how do I know Christ rose? Where's the body? Show me the body. And I said, well, they never found O.J.'s knife. So don't let the absence of evidence be a good qualifier for your belief, in my opinion. But he was a very smart dude, and he knew where he was coming from. We'll get back to that in a minute. Drinking my coffee, need to take a breather here. I'm not really fired up yet. You guys are going to help me get fired up. I appreciate that. And we're going to, another thing, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but we're going to share some famous quotes with you from people about the death penalty. Kim says, death ain't scary. I don't know about that. I guess it depends on how and what method it's approaching you. I think what people fear mostly at death, as I wrote in my book, Lost Dialogues at Table 18, people fear the unknown. This is something we talked about a couple shows ago. Fear of the unknown is a great source of fear, and it allows for all kinds of craziness. People like Alex Jones stepping in to fill your knowledge gaps. You'll take it. You'll take it. Why aren't you questioning them? Because he's giving you answers and nobody else is. They're not good answers. They're not answers that rely on data. He likes to use the two words, my source, a lot, which should be fucking ridiculous in your head if you're a logical thinker. But he's giving you answers when nobody else is. He found the hole. He's like, people are thirsty for this. I'm going to tell them answers. I don't know if I'm right. Well, he may think he knows he's right, but does it matter? Because you're buying his bullshit. Sad thing. Yes, you should all call in, Kim, but not yet. I'm not ready for calls yet. I gotta lay down the road, the highway upon which I hope we'll ride, and then we'll take calls and let it go wild. Let's see. No, we don't have it together, Kim says. I agree. Kim and I have had hours and hours, hundreds of hours of discussions like this. Not so much around death penalty stuff, but just about everything else. Everything we know is wrong. That's a very good point. Play devil's advocate, Kim. That's what I want. I want people to come question me. What people want to see is the most reliable data outcome possible from a show topic like this, based on reason and logic. Reason and logic. So go ahead. Question everything I say, even if you're agreeing with it. Kick that shit around. See what happens. Take that out back and put a bullet in his head. Kim, I don't think we know enough. We don't know it. What do you do when you find out he's innocent? Oh, well. That's not good enough for me. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I did that. Not at all. Socrates, my man. Let's see what else you guys are saying in chat. Okay, so I've basically gotten to the end of what you guys have said in chat so far. Alan's in there, Kim's in there, Steve tried to call in. And I'll have that ready in a minute. But first, we're going to talk just a little bit about it. I'm going to give you a viewpoint, a couple of viewpoints. As you know, the ACLU. Now, I already know what you're thinking. People who are on the right hate the ACLU. Well, they're trying to get blacks all the good stuff and take it away from the whites. Not really. Not really. If you take a minute and just imagine being black or being Hispanic and trying to come up in this white America, you might develop a little bit of sympathy for their plight. I agree that there are black people out there abusing the system. Yes, they're going, I'm black. They know I'm black. It's going to make it easier for me to get welfare because there is a shadow of doubt on whether or not I can get a good job. There's a shadow of doubt on that because we know there's racism. That's proven. So I think I'm going to take advantage of this. Well, let me tell you something. There are welfare fraud lines. If you know anybody that's selling their food stamps, call the fucking fraud line. Do you know how motivated those office workers are to get promoted? And the way they get promoted is saving money. And the way they save money is to kick somebody off the system that would have cost them $40,000 over 5 years. Don't tell me they're not motivated to find out who's committing fraud. They are. Report them. And then we need to stop bitching about welfare. Because in this country, in the United States of America, in the year 2014, a person who was working, who is not disabled, who suddenly finds himself without a job through no fault of his own, ought to have a safety net guaranteed by the government for at least a few months. At least a few months, because you shouldn't have to walk around with a pit in your the pit of your stomach and a ball of knots saying, what happens if I get laid off and I can't get a job that first month right away, no matter how many interviews I go to? And you say, well, yes, you can. No, you can't always. You just can't. I have known people on welfare who are absolutely miserable. I've never met a welfare queen, not once in my life. I'm living the high life on a government check. Nope, never met one. They're miserable. It's not just that they don't get much money, and they don't. Look at the totals. It's also that they're ashamed of themselves. Now, the ones who have serious drug and alcohol problems generally are able to let go of the shame because they're taken over by the drugs and alcohol. That's a different problem. That's something that needs counseling, rehab. But I'm talking about the people who want to be working, and there are lots of them out there. I hate the way we have it wrong in understanding welfare in this country. Our system needs to have a temporary, and it does, safety net. If you fall flat on your face, we can afford that. We're the richest nation in the world. We are not telling people, guess what? If you don't want to work, you can go 10 years living off the taxpayer dollar. Guess what? They can't. It's illegal. You got to know these laws before you can understand what's really happening. The fraud cases are relatively few and far in between. Have you seen the results of the drug testing? We ought to drug test the welfare recipients. Have you seen the results? 8% of people in the general working population in America test positive for illicit drug use. You know how many people on welfare tested positive? 3%. And you think, and the testing they did, especially when they tried it down in Florida, cost 2 or 3 times more than the amount of money they saved by kicking those 3% off the program. And you want to tell me you're worried about saving money? That's not what you're worried about. What you're worried about is somebody getting over without having to pay anything, and, God forbid, having a little bit of joy in their life. That's what you're worried about. Because that's not fair, right? When it's you, God help you. And when you fall on and I've had people say, well, I won't fall on my face. I will pick myself up. Yeah, you do that then. If you're white in America, you probably can. But you just don't get it, man. If you're not agreeing that black people face an uphill battle, it's much better than it was. I agree now. And black people with affirmative action have gotten unfair advantages. I agree with that too. Affirmative action's got to go. Black people know this. Deep down, they know it. They know it's got to go. But not yet. Not just yet. We are still in the growing pains section of America's teenage years. You understand? We're having trouble accepting minorities and women in positions of power or in any measure of success. I have a heart. I don't like it when people are abusing the system. I'll report them. But it's not as common as you think. I swear to God. I've worked in the ghetto. I can't tell you how many times I went to the ghetto and saw those people eating peanut butter and jelly, holes in their goddamn shoes. Their kids didn't have toys. They didn't have Nintendos. They were out playing with sticks. And we think they're living that welfare queen life, huh? You know, you see somebody with a Lexus that you think is paying for it with their welfare payment when they already had the car. They're about to get it repossessed, but you don't know any of that. You don't bother with that backstory. You see the Lexus, and you see them paying with food stamps, and you make your assumptions, don't you? You know what happens when they buy lobster? They have to eat peanut butter and jelly for 6 days after that. Let them have their fucking lobster if they're willing to eat peanut butter and jelly 6 days after that because they don't have any money to buy something decent. Man, we're harsh. We're a harsh group. You really want to make a difference? I want to hear you stop bitching about welfare and go report the people that are abusing it. Go do that. You're going to get a real education there. In this country, we have to have a safety net that does not rely on friends, family, and churches. You have to. We're the wealthiest country in the world. We ought to have a guarantee to our citizens that if you fall flat on your face through no fault of your own that we can discern, we're going to take care of you for 6 months. We've got that money, folks. I hear people bitching about foreign aid all the time. Do you know how much we spend? Don't Google it. Don't Google it. How much do you think we spend on foreign aid to all countries of our annual budget? Go ahead and guess in the chat room. How much do you think we spend? It is 1%. The year it was measured last was like 1.2%, or it bobs between, say, 1.5% and 0.7% of our national budget to help all of our allies, to support all these causes we say we care about in the world. And we hear people bitching like crazy about foreign aid. We got people to help here at home. But nobody's talking about the 20% of that budget that we spend on the military. When our fucking Navy is bigger than the next 13 navies combined. Where's that bitching? Well, we got to stay strong. Do we have to stay that strong? Don't you see what's happened with the military-industrial complex? They got used to money. People who get used to money do not want that flow to stop, and they'll do anything to keep it coming. Okay? next 13 navies combined aren't as big as our Navy. Half of that budget, that 20% that goes to defense, goes into dark projects. You know what I'm talking about. Well, all we have to do is tell them that we're doing secret things to develop military technology to keep them safe, and they won't ask questions. There's no congressional oversight. There's no GAO oversight. They don't even have a legislative branch office dedicated to looking at where that 10% of our national budget is going. It disappears. Trillions of dollars unaccounted for. You know where it's going? Some of the research is valid, maybe 2 or 3%. 7% of it is going to contractors who've been sucking the government tit and don't want to give it up. And they're doing research that doesn't matter, and they've got connections, and that's all they need, because nobody's looking at it. This is where we have to be assholes, people. You want to make a difference in this country? Figure out where that 7% is going. Tell them you're not going to stand for the secret clause anymore. We don't need that. We don't need that much money going to national defense. We have the strongest defense in the world by far. And it isn't because we're spending reasonably on the problem. It's because we are someone who took over after World War II, and no one has really challenged us yet. The Soviets tried, they collapsed. Guess what? No country in the history of this world has remained in power on top indefinitely. Name one. Guess what that means? We probably won't either. Some have risen and fallen and risen again. We might do that. Some have risen just the once, and they've been relegated to third world status forever since then. I think America will fall from the first spot. Well, we have to. It follows the law of change. But we may come back. Maybe we need to fall as a stumble to learn our lesson. I don't know. I'm certainly not rooting for it. I hope we stay on top forever. But history says we will not. So ask yourself this. When you suddenly see the United States in 40 years ranked 16th on the world power list, are you going to start rethinking the way we've treated the rest of the world? I am. I'm going to say, how the hell did we treat our allies? Were we bullies to the Middle East? We better rethink this now, because now other people have big bombs, and they have more people than us and more capability, because we blew our wad financially. With speculative shit, with the oil industry and fossil fuels, with this a lot of false industries popping up, with undermining of clean energy so that big oil and coal and natural gas could stay in power. These are things that all are going to contribute to our fall when we fall. But we'll talk more about that later. I need to get back on the death penalty. So let's see what Kim has to say in here. I think I know where you're going with that, Kim. Let's see. She's saying with welfare people, if I'm wrong, correct me, Kim, that you should make people work every day and give them food and water if they're on welfare. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Ostensibly, I think it's a good idea, but I also think that it turns the United States government into essentially a prison camp. Well, it does, because you have no freedom now. You're not allowed to retain any of your dignity. You're going to be digging ditches instead of going to job interviews or training for something that you can get. You know, if you look at what Forbes says, there are plenty of jobs in this country. What the problem is people aren't educated enough to fill them. So does it serve America's purpose to get that welfare recipient out there digging that ditch? Or does it serve a purpose to get them into an education program that costs the same amount of money? I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Kim, you know someone who was on total assistance, Section 8, got a job, $380 every 2 weeks, and they took back $600 in assistance, shoving her back into the hole before she could take off. Something ain't right. I agree. They need to wait until someone actually gets their feet under them before they yank the support. But we can't leave it indefinite. We can't support people forever unless they're disabled. I mean, people overlook disabilities in this country, and you know what's going on, Kim. Think about autism. If somebody would have said in 1980, I have an adult child, he's 24 years old, he's having a huge problem keeping a job because he's badly autistic. Do you think anybody would have given you a second listen? They would have said, fuck that, get him to work. And you and I know that autism is a serious psychological condition for which we can say there's a disability here, and we need to approach it as a disability, not as an excuse. It is a real condition. Major depressive episodes, depression, psychoses, neuroses. These things are real, folks. They're mental conditions. And when we have disabled people, we are America. And if we don't take care of our disabled, I'm ashamed to be a part of it. I'm ashamed. Europe has passed us in social thinking. Asia is about to pass us in social thinking. Africa has long passed us in social thinking for the advanced countries there. The third world countries are still quite barbaric. What are we doing here if we can't even take care of our own when they're unable to take care of themselves fully? What kind of example does that set? How about a school principal who eyes your children's clothes? Nike, Aeropostale, LL Bean. When I asked for the forms for free lunch, judging me, they didn't know all of my kids' clothes were bought from thrift stores. Fuck them. I agree. They're making judgments, Kim, without the evidence. That is one of the biggest problems in America, especially when you get authorities like school principals doing it. You know, somebody does need to set them straight. But I saw a quote earlier from Forbes. It's funny, I just mentioned Forbes, about basically saying that we only learn from those who we love. And I think that translates over into entertainment, which is to say that if you don't respect your news source, you aren't going to care what kind of facts they share. And I see the example all the time of people that listen to Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and Jon Stewart, for that matter. They like the guy, so they buy what he says. That's a shame to me. I think some people like me, so they like what I say, and I tell them, don't like what I say. Fact check my shit. You don't know if I'm lying to you. So the whole thing I'm trying to do here is get you to think on your own and not be so apt to follow. It's a weird thing, man. That's why my show's never going to be big, because I'm kicking people out all the time. They're going, sure, I thought he liked me. Well, I do like you, but goddamn it, think for yourself. Don't let me think for you. It's the problem in this country. People not thinking for themselves. Oh, this guy might be right. Bill O'Reilly's got the best show on cable news according to the rate. He must be right. Pundit Fact did a check on him, and he was lying almost half of the time. 48% of the time, Bill O'Reilly's facts were incorrect, according to the sources. Dependable sources. So, but you're going to believe what you want to believe. It's a sad thing. Let's get to a point in this country where we don't believe what we want to believe, where we go ahead and peel that tarp off of that angry grizzly bear. I don't care what it is under the tarp. That is the truth. If you're dealing with truth, growth can happen. Real growth. Real change. If you're not dealing with the truth, if you're living on a false foundation, and this two-party system we have in this country with an even split, it shows you right off the bat that there's magic at work. People are doing tricks. They're wearing top hats in the government. They've got canes, pulling rabbits out here, a bouquet of flowers out there. Watch this coin disappear. That's their fucking specialty there, isn't it? Watch the coin disappear. I can make a lot of those disappear. Fact check your shit. Believe in the truth. Don't believe what you want to believe. If you know what? I can prove that people believe what they want to believe. If people didn't believe what they want to believe, Disney would have never made it. What is Disney doesn't do truth. Disney's serving you psychological dessert before you've even had your main meal of reality. And we want to know why our kids are fucked up? Because we give them unrealistic expectations, and they live a life of having those expectations not met, and they feel a sense of abandonment and failure and lack of support from those that said they were giving them the truth. Thank you, Andrew. Glad you're enjoying the show. I don't prepare for my shows. I don't use notes or scripts. I just go. And sometimes that gets a little boring, to be honest with you. But sometimes I can take off. It just depends. Kim, you have a lot of examples. Let's get back to the death penalty real quick. Okay, I want to know what you think, Andrew. I want to know what Alan thinks, Kim thinks, and Steve, I think, is going to call in later. How late does Steve stay up, Kim? I need to know that so that I can get him in time. But I like to go for about an hour before I start getting into calls and stuff. So what we'll do is right around 1 a.m., about 15 minutes from now, is we'll take a little break, let everybody go pee-pee, and then we'll start taking calls when I come back, and we'll do it that way. But death penalty, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. There are 130, oh God, my brain's going to explode. I'd think 135 countries in the world where the death penalty has been outlawed. It's too barbaric. And we're America. We're the point of the spear. We're supposed to be the moral compass that the world uses to find its way. And we're killing our people. And some of them are innocent. And that's not acceptable to me. Yeah, it's kind of a new stance I've taken. I used to be fairly neutral in the death penalty. You look at some of the evil things that those that have murdered have done. But now, when I'm looking at the Innocence Project and seeing all the fucking mistakes we make and understanding how weak we are perceptively and our ability to weigh evidence and understand data that has good evidence and some that's kind of flaky, we don't do too well with that. And as long as that system is in question, I can't tell a man, you ought to be injected and die, just to find out 3 years later there was video evidence that he wasn't even at the scene. We're okay with that, aren't we? That is part of the animal inside of us. That's part of the broken animal I like to talk about. We're okay with that. We're okay with that. We killed one, well, you're going to make mistakes sometimes, but we got to keep the death penalty in place. We got to kill these people when they kill others. I don't know about that. I don't feel that anymore. I feel we need to scrap it until we figure it out. And here's the biggest thing that got me. It's the torture element. This guy took 2 hours to die. 2 hours from lethal injection. This is just last night or the other night? Unacceptable in America. Everything should stop right now. There should be a federal issue that comes out, some sort of legal amendment that says no more death penalties may be carried out until the federal government has finished an investigation on the most efficient and effective and painless ways to take someone's life, and until then, no death penalty shall be enacted in any state. We got to take control of stuff like that. That's where you have to take power back from the states and bring it federal. And there are reasons to do that. If you let the states go crazy, it's just like a bunch of neighborhoods with no police forces there. Just war. You're just going to have a war all over the place. Too many mistakes. I agree, Andrew. And here's the thing. I'm letting myself off a little easy here. I'm going to make an admission to you folks that might cost me, which I do typically on this show. I'm not so sure. What's going to happen is this. We're going to turn our courtrooms and our juries and our judges into machines. We're going to program them. People are going to vote on what is good evidence and what's bad, the basic rules, basic laws, and we're going to let machines compute the basic, this person is 71% likely to have been the criminal in this case. And then we're going to go on that. And there will be a threshold. Maybe there has to be a 97% chance before we can, ascribe a death penalty. But the whole point is, with these machines that are going to be doing our computing for us, we're going to have a new faith. And we will. You can check the code. You'll have people overseeing it. There's not going to be much corruption once we get the machines doing the right thing, because you can check it. It's very mathematical in nature. The preponderance of evidence becomes quite algebraic, if you will. And you must, because I did. What will happen then is now I can have faith that a person who's about to be put to death has actually committed the crime. But I got to admit something to you. I'm still not sure it's a good idea. I'm still not sure it's a good idea. We've had the strength of mathematics and computing convict this person, much stronger than a jury, much less abstract, much less susceptible to perceptive errors. But I'm still not sure we ought to kill this guy. And the reason for that doesn't come from much of a moral compass, as much as it comes from the element of some uncertainty still being there and the cost. Kim says, take a bullet. There's no cost. There's a 27 cents cost. You take the bullet, you shoot him. I can't groove with that, Kim. I have to disagree with you on that. I think first we've got to figure out how to be sure someone's guilty, and then we can get into the other discussions. But until that's resolved, I don't even think we have a leg to stand on for the death penalty in this country. It's far too barbaric. We've grown past that. We need to at least put it on hold until we can figure out, how to overcome the motivation of a prosecutor who just wants a win. They withhold evidence. Yeah, that's a crime. But do you think they're worried about it? How many times do you think a prosecutor withholds evidence from the defense? Happens all the damn time. It's easy for them to do. They just act like they didn't see it. It's very hard to prove they saw it. They want to win. They want to win. That's how they make their name. How many of them you think have trouble sleeping at night? after their first few cases. They don't care. They're hardened. Systematic desensitization occurs. They don't care anymore. It's about the win. Now, there are some exceptions to that, but very few in my view. Maybe 5-10% of prosecutors have some sort of moral code at the core of their behavioral system and their decision making. Good for them. As long as there is a man, there will be propensity for error and corruption. Put a bullet in his head, pitch him in pauper's grave, dust your hands. So, Kim, you kill this guy, and you find out 5 years later one of the witnesses to the crime comes forth and says it wasn't him. I was paid by a mob person, and I'll give names. I'm having trouble sleeping at night. I can't live with myself. It wasn't him. It was somebody else. We're okay with that? You're just okay with that? Well, we fucked up on that one. We'll try not to fuck up on the rest. That can't be enough for you. That can't be enough for you. We need to be sure before we kill somebody. We've got to be sure. Yeah, DNA does show that. In fact, I've got the stats right here. We were just talking, Andrew was talking about the DNA mistakes. How many innocent people are sentenced to death? At least 4% of all people who have received the death penalty are innocent, if a new study is right. Now, I'm going to put this into context for you. They only started doing this study back in 1973, and the reason for that is that the Supreme Court had basically made all former death penalty type laws invalid. So it had to all be rethought back in the 1973 case. And I'll explain that to you. What it was is the Supreme Court invalidated all prior death sentencing laws and instituted the modern death penalty. So they basically started this study from 1973. Now, there are some problems with this. So the numbers turn out to be this. 1973 until 2004, 7,482 people were sentenced to death. Among them, 117 exonerations that took place during those 31 years. 107 took place among those who were awaiting execution. So get this. Here are people sentenced to death that are not being included in this put to death number. So it was a much larger number. Another 10 were exonerated by legal proceedings that were initiated after the threat of death had been removed. And what they're saying there is, when you're on death row, you're more likely to get legal help to try to save your life than somebody who's just been given life in prison and is innocent. They don't look at you too much. Well, you're alive. Deal with it. You know, that's fucking wrong, man. We cannot put innocent people in jail in this country. So let's see. I wanted to give you the actual numbers, though, and how they worked out. Even the advent of DNA identification hasn't changed much on death row. Only 18 of the 142 exonerations occurred thanks to post-conviction DNA testing. But that's because DNA testing's young in criminal cases. That's all that is. That is going to become more and more prevalent in my view. 4%. Here's the big point they made that I wanted to make to you. We can't know how many were actually innocent, not with what we have right now. It's guaranteed through science and new evidence that number will rise of how many innocents we've put to death. Because remember, their default state is guilty, but new information changes things. It's all but certain, this report that came out of an official study from, where the hell was it? It was done by Samuel Gross of the University of Michigan. It's not merely unknown, but unknowable. All right, people scrapping evidence, the inability to find witnesses for older cases. This is stuff that all comes into play here. Okay, so what we're saying is there are a significant number above 4% that are not guilty, and we're telling them you're going to die. Even one, for me, folks, is too many. I cannot get behind a country saying you might be guilty, therefore you die. Because I want you to stop for 1 second and realize that if someone were pissed off enough at you and they witnessed a shooting, it could be you on death row. I saw Kim there. I saw her pull the trigger. I saw the muzzle flash. I saw the person fall. And I saw her get in her car and ride away, and you don't have an alibi. Next thing you know, there's an indictment. Next thing you know, 12 of your peers are looking at you with a bit of a scowl on their face. And you're going, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But they sentence you to death because of one witness who's lying. So think about that before you make your final decision on whether or not we ought to be putting people to death without adequate evidence against them, or even with adequate evidence. There's no great source of guidance for this, y'all. What do we look at? The Catholic Church? Is that the moral high ground? Don't make me even go there. You know what I'm about to talk about, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Police departments, are they the ones that follow the rules? Not so fucking much. So who are we supposed to look to set the example? We're the blind leading the semi-blind is really what's going on here. And we ought to accept our weaknesses. And if we're that weak in the ability to both gather and apply evidence to come to a just decision in a case, we ought not to be having people die until we know, and even then there is a question of being morally sound, taking another's life. You're telling me you're a Christian, you're telling me thou shalt not kill no longer matters. It's supposed to be God's justice, not the court's justice, if a person does kill. But then you're saying we should go stone somebody to death if she has had sex before marriage. What I'm saying is that we're almost a joke. All of us, me too. Our ability to perceive and be just is never good enough, at least in the foreseeable future for me, to say that we've got enough to put somebody to death. I say we don't. I'm going against the death penalty. That's my official stance now. I think at the very least we need to put a hold on it until we can stop torturing people with injections that people claim, what, the medical industry's never been wrong? The guy sat there for 2 hours snorting and huffing and puffing and struggling to breathe and gasping, and that's okay with us? Everything needs to be put on hold. Everything needs to be put on hold regarding death penalties. All right, what we're going to do here, it's 12:57. I'm going to read some more from the chat when we get back, and then we're going to take some calls. I want to hear your thoughts on this. I want to hear if you're fired up about this. I want to hear what I've missed. Tell me what I've been doing wrong in my thinking so that we can give our listeners the best possible presentation of good data, good evidence, and a good compass to use if they weren't sure how to feel about this. Tell me what I've missed in my data, or if I've leaned too far one way or the other unfairly. I want to know all of that. We'll get there. I did download some new songs, so I have a little treat for you tonight. We've got, you already heard Texas Radio Fish, but I've got something called Shake That Funky Thing. Yeah, I'm going to play that. And another one I got is Give It To Me. Alex featuring Admiral Bob, and it's funny because Alex also, Shake That Funky Thing, was the creator of that. And that's Alex is like Sacto 22 and Grapes and a couple others on CC Mixter. They kind of rule the roost there. They're the real talents, and then you have the sporadic talent of others with the one-hit wonders. So we'll throw that up there. We're going to do Shake That Funky Thing and then Give It To Me featuring Admiral Bob. Bob. I can say Bob when I'm asleep. I can just say Bob. I probably do sometimes. So let's move that down and out of the way. And then, this song is freaky. So I'm going to let you guys hear this. It's by Scomber, another great talent on CC Mixter, called Things I Love, Things I Hate. It's a kid. It's a little girl basically talking to a song, talking about things she loves and hates. And she's a British kid. So some of it is going to sound kind of strange to you. I love shit like this. It's very strange. We're going to play that one. And then by then we'll be back. So that is going to do it. We're going to go ahead and start our break now. So take your break. We'll be back here by about 1:15 Alpha Meridian, and we'll go from there.
Give it to me. 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 Mr. V, give it to me. 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 Mr. V, give it to me. Mr. V, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Mr. V, give it to me.
Gotta shake your funky thing.
Give it to me.
Gotta shake that thing. Gotta shake that.
Mr. V, give it to me.
Shake that thing. Shake that thing. You gotta shake that. You gotta shake that. You gotta shake your funky thing.
Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, meet your adrenaline, settle in, it's medicine. Doper than a 7-man, provoking you to let us in. Vocals are effortless, hoping you never miss when approaching a specialist.
It's Togo, your man Focho, your man So-So. They're playing Rodo, break bread at 4-0-0. Degrees and please MCs, no need to freeze, just flee. You see, we be the best to bless the stage on a higher degree.
There's none flyer than weak, I'm higher than steep. But fire we retire the beat, desire. Amplify your decrease, try and compete. Design with the heat, you find my fleets dying to eat. You know?
So we all get the fat itis. My gold Midas touch reaches, reach your whole lighters up and heats. My speech a coal miner to a diamond beach. We been working, searching for that perfect piece. Hey yo, my advice is to you, think twice. Jazz addicts is the crew, we get nice, precise with the rhyme on the cut. The illest lemonade was a popular drink and it still is. Now that you're following
when it's time for the hollering. So scream for the oxygen, bright like a halogen night light. We got them in sight, right? We're rocking them right. Where we want them, stay tight without a problem.
Excite, right? Don't overheat, just jump when you wanna. Fist pump when you wanna. Bass no fist is on. We gonna keep it hot in here. Let's persevere, no drama. Just good karma first. Cheer.
I put you in the sky, a peace sign for a beast rhyme. No decline, blocking stunners that release shine. We carefree at the moment and we own it. Enjoy the aerial view through your stereo components.
Just focus. We known for blasting percussion and rapping production and rapping at functions. Slapping these suckers, amassing the love is so massive. These brothers on task is the toughest. Bump this, trust us when we say my advice is to you. Think twice. Jazz addicts is the crew. We get nice, precise with a rhyme on the cut. Season illest lemonade was a popular drink and it still is.
Lemonade was a popular drink and it still is. I get more props. I get more props.
Jazz addicts is the crew. We get nice, precise with the rhyme on the cut. The illest lemonade was a popular drink and it still is.
To Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
These are the things I love. These are the things I hate. I love dogs and cats, but I don't like black. I hate houses with mouses and trees with bees because they sting my knees. As I climb up, reaching for my favorite rainbow. I love Barbie, especially when she kisses Ken. I don't like going to bed. I don't like show-off boys or being bored. I love my dad. I love my mom, but I hate my annoying brother. I'm scared of the dark. I hate scary shadows. My favourite colours are pink, yellow and blue. I love disco dancing, but I hate boys that make noise. And I don't like vomiting. I hate runny ink and cats that scratch. I love kissing boys at parties on my roller skates. I love lunchtime at school, but I don't like homework. I'm scared of the dark, but I love playing in the park. I love Santa Claus and hot English mustard, but I hate chili. I hate flies, but I love butterflies with teeth. I love the beach with sand in my feet. I hate headaches. I love yellow roses. I wish I had a pet unicorn. How I can tie him up on the back wall. I don't like cockroaches. I'm scared of heights and dogs that bite. I love holidays and my best friends, Paige and Sophie Brown. These are the things I love.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Rabble. Yeah, Wes Johnson. You can find him at wesjohnson.com, the greatest voice actor in American history. I can't compare him to Russian voice actors or French ones, but I can tell you, he's got mad skills. So check him out. There is that. We're going to be taking calls here in a minute. I'm just getting back into my pilot's cockpit, readjusting here, checking the flaps, getting the turbo set up here. Gonna have to check about this UFO I got at 10 o'clock high. Hold on. Clearly Venus. I'm not going to chase Venus. That doesn't mean the UFOs aren't real. We'll have that talk another time. We will. Yeah, that was a freaky song. I do apologize, but sometimes I need to show you weird. I don't know. I think contrast is one of the best ways to learn. So if I can't put something strange and freaky out there, then you can't appreciate good stuff. Hang on, people are calling in already. Don't call yet. I'm not ready. We'll get to it in just a minute. We're talking about the death penalty. Truth on Tap's a show. Kevin Kierstead's a host tonight. It's freestyle, really, but I have to tell you, I have to make a confession here, and that is that mixing the topic of death penalty with freestyle almost seems a little callous on my part. It's kind of like saying, yeah, we'll fuck around and talk about murder. I'm sorry about that. It wasn't my intent. All I'm saying is I don't like to fasten myself to one topic. And that's why I throw that freestyle in there. It's a qualifier more than anything. It's no intent to be freestyle. It is the permission I'm giving myself to go off topic. That's all it is. So freestyle almost sounds like, oh yeah, I'm going to mix some music and yeah, we'll talk about innocent people getting killed by a lethal injection. So that didn't sound right. Well, I like to be in over my head, because unless I'm in over my head, I don't learn anything. Swimming in the kiddie pool is not going to make you a very good swimmer, is it? No, you need to get out there with those 12-foot crashing waves in the middle of the Atlantic. That's how you're going to increase your swimming abilities. So let me see what's going on Facebook. I've got a lot in chat. You guys are just going to have to get into chat because I can't keep up with them. So make sure to get into chat. If you're listening to this show through the Facebook tab, it's down on your lower right. You'll see a little thing there with a few bars. People are still trying to call in, and I'm not ready for calls yet, so you're just going to have to hold on. Yeah, I got to be ready for calls. I'm not ready yet. So I got to have my mind ready for that. I'm looking over my websites that I have up here. 10 reasons to oppose the death penalty, 5 arguments for, 5 arguments against. This is something we haven't talked about, and I don't want to lose our way here. You know that innocent people have died as a result of the death penalty. You know that the cause for this has been either an uninformed or incapable jury or prosecutors who just want to win. And you know that science continues to refine the way we gather evidence and the reliability of that evidence. And if you know those things, there should be some kind of doubt in the back of your mind as to whether or not the right thing is happening when you watch somebody take the injection. Doubt, reasonable doubt. Man, that's a loaded term right there. I'm just going to close this until I'm ready to take calls, so we don't have to keep hearing this. Sorry, guys. I'm just not ready. So, well, when I am, I'll take calls. Closing all that. I think you guys can hear the ringing. I'm closing everything. I'm closing Google. That way I won't even hear the thing ring. You can call in when we're ready at 910-NO-LYING, 910-665-9464. You can Skype in, which is a cleaner form of audio, and I prefer that because we can get several people in on a call, I think. I have yet to try that. I'm waiting for some experts to school me on that. You guys that do shows, I've got you in the chat room there. Do you ever take 3, 4, 5 calls on Skype at once and have a kind of a community discussion going on there? I'm curious about that. I've never looked it up. I'd like to start doing that, have some roundtables. And we'll do that. It's I don't know if I told you, but Skype is mr.kevin.kierstead, K-I-E-R, stead as in steady. Michael could beat Freddie, and my mama's name's Betty. That's how that goes. Yeah, I feel like fucking around a little bit more before we take calls, because things get serious when you take calls, you know? And I'm ready for that psychologically, but I'm not ready for that energy-wise. I need I don't know, a few more sips of coffee, you know, just let it roll. Tell you what we'll do. Tell you a good way to do this. This is fun. You guys tell me what you think about this. This is not my original idea, but I also didn't get it from another Spreaker host. I got it from Will Shatner, who was talking during a song on a show. He was sitting on the stage and they were playing a song and he was just talking. It wasn't even like rap or poetry. He just talking. And I liked it. And I've been thinking about doing it ever since, and I finally heard Truth Porn Militia do it. I've heard Goofy Bone do it. So I figured I'd give it a shot. But it's got to be a kind of a song I like. Oh, I'll tell you a good one. This one's almost too beautiful for what we're doing here. Should I do that? Or should I make it... Nah, we'll do Pulse. Georgia Linus, DJ K-Rod, Pulse. Kind of funky, kind of freaky. It might be a song that you're hearing as they give you the injection in the back of your mind. And so here is Georgia Linus, DJ Archive, Pulse. Georgia Linus is a pretty crafty guy, too, on CC Mixter. Yeah. Can you feel it? I can feel this. I think I can feel this. If I were hearing this song, I'd be okay with getting the injection. Yeah, go ahead and kill me. I'm grooving right now. My spirit's going to the 7th plane, bitches. I'm coming back to haunt, too. You know this, man. Oh, you talk over people in Skype? I didn't know that. Yeah, I figured that would be a problem. Innocent people died in warns, too. Steve, I didn't know that was you calling, man. I thought we agreed you were going to call in around 1:20. Steve, oh my gosh, you know something? I think your phone number is literally 1 digit different than mine. That's freaky, man. Kim says other states are trying to abolish the death penalty, but mine's putting in an express lane. Yeah, I heard that. That was a comedian that said that, I believe. Yep. RD, hi people, what's up? RD, whatever. What makes you come to my show tonight? You want to talk about death? People are afraid of death. I think people are afraid of death because they don't know what happens. I don't know what happens after death. Yeah, Ron White said it. That's right, he was talking about Texas. I remember. Yeah. Pulse is the name of this song. Are you feeling the pulse? Are you feeling your pulse? If you are on a gurney taking the injection of 3 different chemicals into your bloodstream, would you be feeling your pulse then? I think you would, at least for a little while. Here's the thing, people. I want you to think about this for a second. If we're going to kill people, you can go into a surgery and you can be knocked out peacefully knocked out. Why can't they do that? Why can't they go ahead and remove any chance that you'll feel pain by loading your ass up with morphine and maybe, you know, something that will take you out of a conscious state, and then have a chemical come in and slowly disable your heart? Apparently we have not figured out how to do that yet we can do it in a hospital daily. You know what it is? It's how much money they're willing to put into it. That's what it is. Doctors are expensive. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. I like that song, but I'm not going to play it.
Give it to me.
Yeah, we're going to stop Shake That Funky thing. I know you guys like it, but nah, we're going to stop there. Alright, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go back and open up the phone line since it is almost 1:20 a.m. and I feel like I'm ready for phone calls. I gotta be in the mood for shit, man. I can't help that. That's just how I am. It's not a gimmick. It's not a game of any kind. So now I gotta go back and open up all this shit. So y'all are just gonna have to wait. Waiting, not something we do well in America. Yeah, we're not good with waiting. Used to be okay with it. I'm kind of glad in a way the internet makes the fact checking. You can do it instantly. Remember when a report would come out and you'd find out that a politician had lied a week ago or 10 days ago. That was the best we could do. That was when the follow-up story came out. We've got them instantly now in the Twitterverse. Tampa Bay Times, PolitiFact, FactCheck.org, PunditFact. We've got ways to check them as they say the shit. We've had Candy Crowley correct somebody during a presidential debate. That's where we're going with the fact-checking. I like that. I want people fact-checked during their debate. If they're lying, I want them called out right then. Hard to do, though, unless you get a truly neutral moderator in there, and that's hard to find. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Google Talk. There's that. So we'll open that up. See, I had to close all this shit because I wasn't ready for calls. Now I'm ready for calls. Just give me a second. You know, I hear the Jeopardy theme song playing in my head, and my first thought there is, Alex Trebek, you can bite my dick acting like you knew all the answers. You might have known them because they were on the goddamn card, but you didn't know that shit before the show. Bitch. Acting like he knew all the shit, like it was his answers he came up with. No, I'm sorry about that. So close. You forgot the category. Fuck you, Alex Trebek. Yeah, that's what I got to say about him. Come on, open this up. View. I can't remember how to get where I'm supposed to be going here, so y'all are just going to have to wait. Alright, well, we're getting there. Just stand by. Gmail, not female, Gmail. If they had called it female, it probably would have a lot more users. No, I don't think that's the one I want to open, is it? We'll see in a second. We'll see in a second. I'll have the phone line up here. I normally have it up already and ready to go, but when people start calling in too early, I get all, I got to close shit. So, damn it, this is not what I wanted. Shit. I'll get there in a minute. You guys are just going to have to wait. When you have Google Talk open, you have to go to your, in my case, you have to go to your mail, but it has to be under the right account. It's going into the wrong account for me right now. I have several accounts. Here we go. Here's the one. Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. Fuck. That pisses me off. I'm going to have to pull up history and pull up the right page again, that's all. So death penalty, who should die? Who should die? What do you do? How do you feel, you proponents of death penalty, when you find out that, yeah, this is the one right here. When you find out that an innocent has been murdered. He was scum anyway. He didn't have any hope. He wasn't contributing to the greater good. What if it had been one of the Kennedy kids? Remember when he went for rape? What if there had been a murder? And what if he'd been put to death? And what if you found out 10 years later it wasn't him? You're okay with that? You didn't know him. It's okay. We got to kill people. We just don't have to be too precise with it. Well, the phone lines are up. If you want to call in, 910-NO-LYING. Tell me what you think about the death penalty. Tell me what you think about, I don't know, Roseanne. You can tell me anything you want. It's freestyle. You don't have to be nervous. Just talk. Just let us know what you're thinking. It is up and ready to go. So don't hate, procreate, is what I like to say. Which isn't true, but I'm having some fun with it. You guys in chat room, I have not been following you over the past few minutes. RD and Kim are having a discussion. Kim says she's not in favor of the death penalty, but I'm in favor of locking these people away in maximum security units where they can never get out. Okay, I'm down with that. And I say, Kim, if they do break out, I think it's okay to put a hit on them, a legal hit. Say, look, if you broke out, you're now endangering the public based on the evidence we have about you. I'm going to allow law enforcement to shoot you on sight. Yeah, because you had a choice. You had a choice to not break out. Here we go. Steve's calling him with Skype. Good man. Is this Steve Swoop Moya?
Why, yes, it is.
Well, what in the Samuel L. Jackson are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm looking at myself on this funky-ass computer.
I'm looking at you, too. I don't usually use video because it hogs my bandwidth, but I got to look at you because I haven't seen you in a while, brother. What you been up to?
How come I can't see you?
I don't have a camera. I don't like people looking at me, so I can pick my nose and grab my balls and stuff without offending them.
You see this?
I see that finger. It's terrifying.
That's for not having a camera now. You don't get to look at me either.
Oh, man. How are you going to punish me like that, man? What have I been saying tonight that's wrong? Help me tell my audience what I'm doing wrong tonight.
Oh,
what's wrong with what I said?
All of it.
all of it.
This whole death penalty thing pisses me off. And I'll tell you why. Is it so bad in this country we gotta fucking tax death now too? I don't understand. You know, how the fuck am I supposed to pay a death penalty? Do I get penalized for dying early?
I actually don't know. I'm not educated in that area of death penalties and death taxes.
All right, so much for the comedy aspect. I figure, you know, fuck it. Be honest with you. If enough people see, and not just one, because I heard you say earlier that, you know, the one person can put somebody to death. It shouldn't be that way. It should be at least 3 people as a witness, or sufficient DNA and physical evidence. Fuck circumstantial evidence. If enough people seen you do what you do, and you've got evidence supporting it and the body and the whole 9 yards, then you know what? You should go straight to the front of the line. And we shouldn't have appeals. There should be no appeals. You get one appeal. If you screw that up, sorry about your luck, Rich. If it turns out 20 years later that you were innocent, you know what? Fuck you. Sorry about your luck. Something you were doing put you in the situation where somebody says they saw you doing what you were doing. So you leading the wrong life anyway. You were bound to fuck up. You got hemmed up early. It cost you your life. Now you didn't go out and rape 12 kids like you had planned to do, but got caught up in this bullshit.
You're operating on a lot of presumptions there, though. What about the person who's innocent, who 3 people hate him because he's successful, so they line up against him?
What about half a country of a war-torn nation that was innocent and ended up dying because 3 other countries didn't like them?
Well, I'll play Socrates here. I agree with you there. We've had very innocent people die in the name of what we consider justice in this country, and that is fighting for what we believed in, our freedoms, our liberties, our laws, our way of life.
But you know what?
But
on the other side of that coin, you still got people who deserve to die that aren't gonna because their state doesn't have the death penalty. And they knew it going in to do what they were doing. It's a sure sign of weakness. If we can't put our own people to death, how are we expected to be looked and feared by other countries? That, you know, I mean, shit. And there's some Asian countries that if you even show up in their country with a joint, they put you to death.
Yeah, and they're barbaric. We don't want to model ourselves after them, do we?
But you know what? When it comes down to a tight squeeze, and if they were the only ones on our side, we gladly accept them and throw our arms around them and go, "Thank God you were here."
Well, let's put Steve. We're going to put you in the judge's chair. I'm going to give you a black robe and made of velvet if you want. We can get fun with this because it's imaginary.
Oh, you don't fuck.
But you're also the jury. You're going to be a judge and the jury. No, this is going to be one of those cases where they didn't ask for a jury. They just said the judge would hear it. So you're the judge.
Overruled. That's when you were supposed to say overruled.
This court's out of order.
There's a lot of things out of order.
So tell me, what person deserves death barely in your courtroom? They just crossed the threshold of enough proof and evidence for you to say, "Off with your head, sir."
Child molesters go to the first part of that line.
All right, child molesters deserve the death penalty.
If they're found guilty for what they did, and there's no question about it, not only do they deserve death, they deserve public execution. And enough public executions, and that shit'll stop.
Well, I agree that would be more of a deterrent than what they're doing now. But what happens when you find out 10 years later that the child was lying?
What if the child wasn't? What if the child wasn't? And I would rather put that man to death than have him sit in a jail cell where I got to keep incurring doctor bills as a taxpayer for all the other inmates beating the shit out of him and raping him and fucking him into a bald coma till he heals up and then putting him in another coma. Now we got to house him, we got to feed him, we got to fix him, we got to let him live, we got to educate him, we got to let him prosper. Pardon me for saying it, but fuck all that. No.
Well,
put him to death.
You know the studies they've done.
If we fuck up one every now and then, you know what? Hey, you can't make all the putts. You just can't.
But you know the research they've done shows that incurring the death penalty cost is greater than keeping someone in prison for life. This is what the financial reports have shown. So if we're just looking at it from a cost perspective, locking them up would be better.
You want to make it really cost effective? Give the individual to the family of the child that was molested. And there will be no cost. You basically, what you do is you give the family a set of shackles and a set of handcuffs, and you say, you have these for the weekend. We expect them back on Monday. Empty or not, we don't give a shit. We'd like our hardware back. And let the families deal with it. And if that means they string him up in a barn and beat him half to death every 6 hours and repeat, then so what?
Well,
so what? He deserved it.
People are going to agree with you here. And the reason they're going to agree with you mostly is because you're appealing to emotion. We can imagine ourselves in this situation. My kid's just been killed by John Doe. The courts have just given me John Doe for a weekend to do with what I want. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and A Time to Kill then, you know.
Our entire government and country was founded on emotion.
It was, but the judicial system can't be because it can't be fair. The judicial system has to be mechanical, don't you think, to be fair?
If there was no emotion, if you took emotion out of the equation, there would be no judicial system because nobody would give a shit what you did or didn't do to them. They wouldn't have the gumption to get up and sue you or put you in court or call the sheriff because they wouldn't give a shit because there ain't no emotion. You have to have emotion in the judicial system. You have to. It doesn't have to be a deep-seated, this is my cousin emotion. That's why a judge would recuse himself from the bench or a lawyer would step out of the way for conflict of interest for something like that. But other than that, yeah, you kind of got to get personal with it. How many times do you think a judge has left it completely 100% business when sentencing a man by his own will? The judge gets to sentence you. The judge gets to decide what your sentence is going to be and whether you're guilty or not. Now, how many judges do you think completely leave it up to unpersonal things? They don't. They can't. It's impossible. When you see pictures of two kids, for example, splayed out and killed by their father, and the guts are hung all over the bedroom wall, and there's blood everywhere, and you see these pictures as a judge, at the point you look at those pictures and you put a face to the man that did those crimes or supposedly did them crimes or allegedly, as they say, when you put a face to those pictures, you exude such a violent emotion and a response. You can't leave it not personal. It has to be personal at that point. Now, whether you're the jury or whether you're the judge, whoever sees these pictures to prove that this man did what he did, whether he be the right man or the wrong man, at that point, sorry about your luck, Rich. You get what you get. And if it's personal and a judge sentences you to the death penalty as opposed to the letter of the law, 25 to life with the possibility of parole, yeah, I'm good with the death penalty. And if we get it wrong, hey, oops. But the other 1,000 people that are in prison waiting for the death penalty that did what they did and caused the mayhem and the madness and the loss of life and mothers losing their sons and fathers losing their parents and everything. Bring the emotion, bring all of it to the table and fry these motherfuckers beyond recognition twice, just because. And you know what? You want to cure world hunger? Go off to these little fucking third world nations and feed them barbecue.
You're cold bitch, man.
Go find yourself a little cannibal nation in the middle of the Fiji Islands or whatever. And I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I don't even know what a Fijian looks like. But, some little island 50 miles west of Bora Bora or wherever the fuck that is. I don't know. I'm the uninformed political analyst. So take all the remains to this cannibalistic tribe and feed the shit out of them. That satisfies your Greenpeace and your tree fucking huggers. Which, by the way, fuck them.
Dog eat dog world, Steve is saying. How many people could die by the death penalty in America that it turned out was a mistake before you would say there was a problem? Could we kill 10% that were innocent? 6%, 4%?
What's my opinion on that?
Sure.
Shit. I'd shoot it loose from the hip. I'd go 25%. 1 out of 4.
Damn.
1 out of 4. Because it's worth it to me to keep the people that actually did the crimes, like a mass murderer or a mass rapist or a mass suicide. Well, I don't guess you can be a mass suicide bomber, but I mean, unless you really suck at it. But yeah, I would rather take 10 of those off the street and lose 3 good people.
See, I feel something from my fellow American, man. I feel something from my fellow innocent American that's not allowing me to agree with you right now.
Me too. I feel fed up and sick of half of them because they ain't got the balls to stand up in what they believe in. Political correctness, my monkey ass. Political correctness is put into place for pussies who can't take a goddamn joke. And if you don't like it, all you little political correct fuckers out there, come on.
Hey, Steve's on the air, man. You can ask him questions. Come into the chat room, and I will give us questions. If you call in on the phone number 910-NO-LYING, we can connect you from Skype through to Google Voice. So if you got questions for Steve, ask him. Steve says, RD says a killer is going to kill. A snake is going to bite. So what do you say?
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a baby rattlesnake from the time it popped out the little egg and looked at you and went, Daddy, 10 years down the road when you're holding that snake, let me ask you a question. Will that snake up to your face and give it a kiss? I bet you wouldn't, because you know it's a fucking snake. And a snake is going to be a snake. A killer is going to find a way to kill. That's why they keep doing it in prison. Next.
Well, I won't argue that, but the question is, when does government come in and say, you get to die now? That's the question. That's really what we're debating here. When is it okay and when is it not okay?
Well, in a true government, that would happen when we put the people in office that felt the same way we did. And you get to do that, you got to actually get off your ass and put a candidate in there worth voting for. An example, my personal favorite president that never made it to be president was Fred Thompson. By now, if Fred Thompson would have made president when he ran and didn't get put in for the Republicans said, nah, we're going to go with this other douchebag. And he lost. That's when the nation started going to shit. Because it wasn't somebody who would stand behind what he said. George Bush might have been a prick, but he did what he said he was going to do. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to tear some shit up. And by God, he went over there and he tore some shit up.
No question about that.
And Clinton wasn't a bad president. He was just, come on, bro, lock the door.
It's weird because you and I differ politically. You lean more to the right and I lean more to the left. But yet on Clinton, you're giving him accolades, and I'm saying fuck him because what he did was getting a blowjob in the Oval Office pollutes that house to me. That is a house of clean sanctimony.
Well, how do you feel about Kennedy?
I know Kennedy was a whore, and I think he was a great president too.
You know the difference between Kennedy and Clinton? Getting caught.
30 years? Yeah, getting caught.
No, not 30 years. It could be a difference between 150 years. Getting caught. If the motherfucker would have walked up to the door and spun a little latch and locked it, the country right now would be in a better position.
But you don't think what he did demeaned the meaning of a wedding vow?
Of course it did, but he got a blowjob. I mean, he's the president. He made it work for him. Whether it was morally right or morally wrong shouldn't matter by your judgment, as you would take emotion out of the judicial system, which is he is involved in. So emotion shouldn't matter. What he did shouldn't matter by your
Well, emotions have nothing to do with it. He got a blowjob, so what he was saying is America, you don't have to keep your wedding vows, and you can get a blowjob in the White House.
Wait a minute. Since when? And when have you ever gotten a blowjob that didn't make you emotional?
That's
when did when did the leading up to the blowjob not make you emotional? Come on, girl. I mean, she got a nice old big round butt and nice little peach titties, and she said, "You know what? I'll put it in my mouth."
Well, that does make you emotional, but emotions aren't what I'm worried about with regard to Clinton's behavior. I like what he did with the economy. I love what he did with the economy. I hate what he did with bin Laden.
So are you questioning his morals?
His morals? Well, if you're going to be the president of the United States, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard than the average American. I do believe that.
Why? You were a regular motherfucker? No, you were a regular.
That's a leadership. That's what a leader does.
No, you were regular when you were born. You're regular when you're in the office.
So if he stood up and said what he believed, Steve, do you think it would be okay if kids were watching if he said, listen, I don't see anything wrong with having somebody suck my dick in the Oval Office? You think that would be okay?
You know what? Now you've walked into the parental control area of our conversation. That's up to the parent. If the parent wants his kid to hear that, well, then guess what? The parents probably already said it. And that comes into parenting, and I'm not getting into parenting. No. But what I will do is I don't think if you're going to question his morals, then do that. But you just can't do it because it has to be personal. And you particularly can't do it because you say you got to take the personal out of it.
Well, no, I said that in the judicial system. I didn't say that about the office of the president. I think the office of the president is that...
Wouldn't you consider the office of the president a part of the judicial system?
No, because it's the executive branch, not the judicial branch.
But he makes laws, which get held up in courts, which judges got to defend.
He can sign off on laws, but he doesn't make them. Congress makes them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why I'm an uninformed political analyst.
Well, your point is valid still, that he affects laws. So, but that's not what I was saying. I was saying that if you're in the office of the President of the United States, the leader of the free world by most people's account, you have to have a higher moral code because you're an example. You know that going in. It's not like you get surprised with it like maybe a basketball star does. Hey, I'm really good at basketball. Shit, all the kids are looking at me. Charles Barkley said, I'm not a role model. Don't use me as a role model. But I don't think the president has that freedom and the rebellious nature of it. You know what I mean? To be able to say fuck everybody.
And I consider that to be a crying fucking shame.
It is.
I don't want a president. It's like when I go to church, Kevin, I'll wear shorts, t-shirt, and a hat if I feel like it, because that's what God knows me for 6 days a week to be wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to come to his house? Why am I going to come to his house on Sunday and lie to his fucking face?
That's what so many Christians do. I'm glad you don't. I didn't even know you were Christian, to be honest with you.
I dig in Jesus. Me and Jesus and God, we're good. We're tight. We're tight like a tick's ass. They got my back all day long, and I don't mind saying it. I'm good with it.
Well, I know one thing you don't do.
God is not
you don't
my
sugarcoat
co-pilot.
things.
God is not my co-pilot. He's driving the fucking car.
You're the opposite of an actor. You are the hardest core of hardcore reality when it comes to personality types. And I don't think I've ever heard you say anything that might be a sugarcoating to make things more comfortable for others. You just say it. And that's good.
You know why I'm like that, right, Kevin?
No, not really.
Fuck them. You know what's going on over in Iraq? It sucks, but I don't see it. So to be honest with you, I don't think a whole lot about it, and I should. I thank all the soldiers for what they've done and everything they've accomplished, and that's every single soldier walking the earth. I'll stop a 70-year-old man in the mall and shake his hand and just go, thanks, man.
Yeah.
But I don't see it, so I don't think about it. And sadly enough, that's to take by at least half of the public. They don't see it, so they don't think about it.
Do you think that's the fault of the media? Kim's saying now that the media news we get here is not what the rest of the world see. How much of a delusion is America being led on by the media?
I definitely blame the media because I think they bludgeon us with our own unintelligence on the situation. They know that half the country ain't looking, so you can tell them what the fuck you want to tell them, and they'll go, "Wow, that sucks."
Yep.
Because they're not smart enough to get off their ass and fact check. They don't check the facts.
That I think is one of the biggest problems in our country now. When I look at Asia and even African countries that are not third world, they take the time to look up the evidence. They figure it out. And we don't. We just go, I think it's because of our Hollywood culture. We don't trust anyway. We think everything's an act, so we just say, well, that sounded good.
No, it's not. It's not because of our culture. It's because of the fact that we're fucking lazy.
Laziness. Okay.
That's the bottom fucking line. Come on, I'm sitting here on my bed. On my lap is a piece of equipment, an electrical fucking wonder. And I can talk to you, listen to it louder through my TV. You're in Matthews. I'm in Williamsburg. You get calls from anywhere in the world. Now, you're telling me that little gadget you're doing that through, you can't take a second and look up a fact which is readily available at the drop of a fucking hat.
I preach it all the time, man.
You're telling me that there's somebody, you're going to be so lazy that you can't run your fingers across the key. You can Facebook your fucking life all goddamn day, but you can't check and see if Elvis is actually dead. You lazy fuck.
Yep.
And I'm guilty of it. I put shit up on Facebook. I don't really give a fuck about the facts. You know me. If it's funny, I want somebody to laugh at it. I don't particularly give a fuck if Abraham Lincoln said it or not, but it would have been cool if he did. That's how I look at it. And you know what? Call me out on it. I know there's people out there that read my line on my Facebook shit. Call me out on it, and I'll tell you the same fucking thing every time. It was a joke, dumbass.
RD in the chat room, what are you talking about when you say the ridiculing, bashing, and shunning? That's a big problem. What specifically are you talking about? And is this in relation to what Steve's been saying?
Shunning? I ain't said a damn thing about the Amish, and nobody shuns like our friends, the Amish.
This RD in the chat room, I wanted to see if he was directing this toward you, Steve, but I think he might have just been speaking in general.
Right on.
So we'll get back to him in a minute. But so we've been talking about the death penalty. We know how Steve feels about it now. Let's talk about what's wrong with the country, Steve. In your perfect world, how do we fix America today?
Let me run it.
Let Steve run the country.
Yeah,
and what's going to happen?
And you can put a time limit on it. Give me 1 year, 365 days, and if it's not better by the time I'm done, I can't do no worse than the Yahoo who's running the motherfucker now.
Well, what's better? I mean, what is the landscape look like to me tomorrow when Steve gets in office and starts changing stuff?
It's funny. It's funny that you should mention landscape, because I would damn sure make it a lot harder to get the fuck across some landscape.
I knew you were going to talk about immigration.
How can I not? How can I not? All the Everglades, down in the Everglades, right, we got alligators. And there's a lot of alligators. Now, you get them Louisiana crazy bastards, and you, instead of giving them money to kill the alligators, give them money to trap the alligators and transport them to Texas. And give them double their price, turn them all loose in the Rio Grande.
You'd have a lot of missing person cases then.
You know what? I bet it won't be none of them from America. How many people swim across the border to get into Juarez? None.
But now, can you imagine if they would have had that policy in place when we came over here? Put saltwater alligators all along the coast. Let them motherfuckers get in then. Those goddamn English and Europeans.
We had cannons and boats and all that cool stuff.
What else would you fix? Would you fix welfare? Would you fix, how about women's right to choose? How do you feel
Women's
about
right
that?
to choose what? Fuck?
Abortion.
No, women have the right to choose to fuck or not to fuck. That's the bottom line. If you get pregnant and you don't want it, it's not my fucking business to tell you can't do it. But I think, honest to God, now if you're gonna think that way, I would put a spin on it and say, you know what? If you're gonna have unprotected sex and you're gonna get pregnant by accident and you're not ready and you don't want a child, you know what? When we go for the abortion, we're gonna go ahead and tie your tubes up. You're gonna go through a grace period, 5 years. And in 5 years, you come back and you reevaluate your situation. Are you ready to have a child yet, Miss Smith? And she says, you know what? I believe I am. Then you fix it and let her have some kids. And if she says, you know what? Not really. I'm still doing my thing and I don't want to take that chance. Then leave it the way it is.
That sounds like a novel solution, but you know what would prevent that type of legislation from getting through is the 14th Amendment and the insistence that government stay pretty much out of family life. I think that's where we would hit our problem, because anybody that wanted to argue against it would just go grab the Constitution, which is like a lightsaber, in the courtroom. You can do just about anything with it.
At least on the bright side, look on the bright side. Here in about another year and a half, 2 years, the Constitution ain't going to mean shit in this fucking country anyway.
And why is that?
Because of the government we have in place now.
Well, 2016 comes, let's say Republicans take office. What do they fix that's broken right now?
They won't be able to fix any of it for at least a good decade. They can either work toward it or do nothing. And there's going to be your outcome. They either do nothing to fix it and they go along with it because it's easy for them. Because that's just the way it is now, and they can keep bullshitting us, or they can move forward. They can't do no fucking worse.
Well, what do you think about self-governing? I had a guest on the show the other night that said we ought to just get rid of the government and govern ourselves. You think that would work?
No, because America has proven itself to be not quite as smart as it says it is. and the people couldn't handle that right now because if you let the people govern themselves right now, within half a decade, you'd be in the middle of the beginning of a civil war.
I think you're right. I think civil war is coming anyway. It's just a question of when and over what exactly.
Well,
and what will the lines be drawn on?
You know what I'm more focused on in a civil war? Who's on whose side? That's what concerns me.
Well, we would have to know
whose side.
What's the dividing lines? Is it Republicans, Democrats? Is it blacks, whites? Is it men, women? Is it immigrants versus natives?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I want to know. I want to be known when we go into civil war. I would like somebody to have enough fucking sense to sit down and go, you know what? It's going to be the black Republicans and the white Democrats versus the Mexicans and the bleeding fucking heart liberals. That'll
Identity in battle.
Pretty much. Yeah, and that'll pretty much basically what'll happen is you'll shoot everybody, and eventually the guns will stop going off, and the people who were smart enough to get the fuck out of there will resurface and go ahead and start all over.
I have a feeling that
the zombie apocalypse is coming, but it's not going to be the zombies you see on TV. It's going to be the media corn-fed, dumbass, backwoods, city fucking hicks who believe the shit they've been pumped through the media. Those are going to be the zombies we're going to have to fuck with.
Andrew in the chat room, he says it's going to be resources that we're going to fight over. What do you think about that? Oil, gold, silver, food.
The devil's advocate in me says, where's cotton going to lie in that? Because that fueled one of the dirtiest civil wars ever, and it was over resources. I would tend to agree with Andrew.
What about water, clean drinking water? That's going to be a problem within 30 years. That could set off World War III like we haven't even imagined.
And
when people can't find water.
Now you see why I don't get into a whole lot of swimming pools. Because people piss in swimming pools. I piss in swimming pools, Kevin.
The show is called Truth on Tap, and Steve is telling y'all the truth. You understand? Steve's got 10 times more personality than me, which is why I like to let him run with it once he gets the wand. And this is something we need to talk about. Natural fears we have in this country about what's coming. What's really going to get us? Is it the zombies? Is it nuclear war?
Ourselves.
Human nature? That's the thing I trust the least of all, Steve, is human nature. I don't trust us to make good decisions, and you know why? It's because we get emotional. When we make emotional decisions, we fuck up. We almost always do.
No, when we make lazy decisions, we fuck up.
I agree with that, too. People that lay...
It should never be what's easiest now. It should be what's easiest now and is going to make the most sense in the long haul.
But people are bad.
And sadly, America has stepped away from that. They've just concentrated on the easy.
But maybe we should blame our leaders for not presenting that long view. We don't have a lot of leaders that do that, do they?
You can't blame the leaders. We put them in office.
Yeah, we put them in office, but it was based on promises that they don't tend to keep.
Wait a minute. Have you ever been married?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever had a girlfriend?
A few, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Now, what was that you were saying about promises that ain't going to get kept?
But these people are lying to one person. When you lie to 300 million, that's a different story.
Why? It's the same fucking lie.
I don't know if we're ever going to get past that, man. I don't think we're ever going to get past the lying. I think it's going to get worse.
Well,
I think we've learned it.
That's because the politicians in office know that they're dealing with a whole lot more lazy people as a whole.
That's true. I mean, if they felt more accountable to the American public, do you think there would be a shift in behavior?
No.
Steve keeps it simple, man. No need to add to that. Just know. Just know, bitches. I'm looking at what you guys are saying about education in the chat room, and I think education is one of our downfalls. And the reason we know that is we can compare it to other countries. We can look at Europe, and we can look at the Far East. They've got their education lined up pretty well, at least with science and math. I don't know about the arts, but they're passing us, folks.
Here's a kick in the ass. Think about this. We put in Virginia, I don't know about other states, I'm not sure, I don't know, but in Virginia, the lottery contributes money to the education system. Now, let's put a spin on it. Let's really zip people in the fucking head. Legalize marijuana and take 50% of that revenue and put that into education.
That would be a hard choice for people, because there are plenty of people out there who still think marijuana is the work of the devil. And where did that come from? The war against drugs in the 80s.
Well, yeah.
You know, you look at behaviors on different drugs.
On that.
Go for it, man. Hit it. What's up with the war on drugs?
I'm not going to get started on the war on drugs.
Well, can you summarize it? What would you do if you were in charge of all drug laws? Would you let cocaine be legal?
I'll tell you what. Let me summarize it real quick for you, all right? Can you hear me? Do you have your radio turned up?
Y'all don't see the video that I see right now.
I don't really think I gotta say nothing else.
That nigga smoking like a choo-choo train.
You didn't see nothing.
No, it's just a cigarette, honest.
Damn, filterless Marlboro.
Well, he told you how he felt, and then he proved it. So you can't blame Steve for being honest.
Oh, sure you can.
I don't know. You know, these malleable solutions we present with legalizing drugs and changing the entire medical system and changing the entire tax revenue system and then scrapping entitlements and putting it into privatized funds. This is all talk that we don't ever take action on. You know, they talked about giving every American health care from way back in the 60s, and it was just this kind of almost an Orwellian idea. And then suddenly it becomes real. And is it a disaster? Some say that. Some say it is. Does it just need some kinks worked out? I don't know. You know, I'm not educated enough on what healthcare is right now to know. But I do know that it was a problem that we had people go into the emergency room with a headache and then not paying their bill. And so that gets passed off on everybody else with $16 Tylenols. We had to do something about that. But overall, I'm not so sure that our healthcare system was broken as much as it was on a runaway inflation train because of stuff like that. So maybe we didn't need such a big change. I don't know. That only time's going to tell us on that. How do you think it's going to look in the year 2045 in America? You know.
Honestly, Philadelphia still won't have won a Super Bowl. Yeah, but you know, by 2046, Oakland probably won't fucking win one either. I bet Denver's going to put it together. I mean, come on, they're in Colorado.
Well, if global warming has its way, then Colorado will be one of the few places still above water.
That's going to suck.
Yep.
Learn to swim.
Colorado is a beautiful place, man. I lived there a couple times, but I did miss my oceans. I got to admit that growing up on the coast gives you an appreciation for bay and ocean water that you can't fill with just lakes. You know, there's something about it.
You know why? You know why? Because lakes don't have fucking blue crabs. That's why.
That's what it is. You know, we live in this town I'm in right now has one of the wildest ecologies in the world when you just look at the biological blueprint of what lives here. And I love it. I just love that it's teeming with life. Wish the mosquitoes weren't doing so well and the mayflies, but other than that, let it roll. You know, it's a beautiful town. And I'm kind of glad that we're on the fingertip, sticking out in the bay, because people can't pass through here. You know, if you come to Matthews, you're either staying or you're turning around. You can't pass through. And I do like that about this little town. Because if you live in a pass-through town, that shit grows fast. You're a hub now. You're a point in between two other points. And they were talking about building a tunnel one time, Steve, from here to Norfolk. That would have changed everything. It may still do that.
Oh my
I don't know.
God, that would make living in Gloucester worth it.
It's the only thing, huh?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good stuff over there too. Is the Roses still open?
I have no idea, man.
I'm so Gloucester.
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
Well, you guys, we're coming up on we've actually passed our 2-hour show limit here where my voice starts to go, but I want to give Steve some more time if he would like to give America some ideas. I'm going to leave you the mic, Steve. Say what you like.
No, don't do that.
Speak your heart.
Don't do that. Oh, man.
Why not, man? You're good at being honest. You got 10 tons of personality. Lay it on them.
But
the people want to hear.
You got to lead me around. You know, you got to give me the scenario and whatnot. Then I can shoot from the hip. But I mean, really, what do you want me to tell them? Watch wrestling every Monday night. Say your prayers.
Let's ask, what's your ideal America in 10 years from now? That accounts for all the stuff we can fix that's already fucked up. What does it look like? What's the difference in when you wake up and you're thinking and looking at the newspaper in 10 years if Steve's ideas go right versus what we're seeing now?
Oh, it ain't going to be no change in 10 years. If my ideas go right, basically we're going to fall into fucking mayhem and we're going to have to rebuild.
You think this country needs to throw up, clear the contents of its stomach and start over?
No, what I think it needs to do is swallow some of its fucking pride and fix internally. I mean, we're putting out all these millions of dollars for starving kids in Africa. You know what? I've never fucking seen one. I've never walked down the street and gone, oh, look at that little starving African kid. I've never looked over and seen a little Chinese kid needing adopting. No, not really. We got kids in this country who need it worse. And the reason because they're in the country that they were born in and can't get something that a kid in a different country got. And he lives here. And they're outsourcing the money, man. Come on, feed the people in this country. Give them a reason to get out of the fucking gutter. If that's where they're at. Give them a reason to get out of a shelter. Give them a reason to stop staying with a man who beats the shit out of them. Give them a reason to do that. Give them some fucking hope. And there ain't none right now. There's no hope. Fuck that. All we got is change. And you can't make $1 out of the change you get now. Fuck that.
So in 10 years, America may have cut its foreign aid to other countries, but we're feeding our own, and we're starting the rebuilding of the infrastructure.
Well, let me ask you a question. How much money has a foreign country ever given us for food?
That's a stat I don't know. I know they've given us a lot for disaster relief, but not for food.
Okay, great. But yeah, check it out. I don't know. I'm not sure how to go about it, but I mean, I guess you just Bing it or Google it or whatever the fucking young'uns do nowadays. But,
we would look at like one of the world organizations
and think about it, and then whatever you find out on that, then go and look how much we've given other countries for food.
Yep.
And I guarantee if you take half of what we've given other countries for food and turned it inward and fed the starving people in this country, you'd see a different fucking country. You'd see people proud to get up and go to work. You'd see people proud to get up and go to work where it is that they work. They'd take pride in what they do. They'd have a feeling of family. They'd have a feeling of future. They'd have a feeling of promise, and they'd have a feeling of fucking hope. And you don't have it now because you ain't got to work for it. You can sit on your ass and pop out kids, and then it keep giving you a check. And then there's people out there that are getting ready to say, oh, but they cut you off at 5 kids. Oh. So the 6th one's free. Because by then, I mean, come on, man. Jesus, I'm tired of motherfuckers that vote for a living. It really is. It's really kicking the rest of us in the ass. And drug testing. Me and a friend of mine talked about this the other night. Drug testing for welfare. If the government gives you money, not food assistance, not clothes assistance, not this, that, but money. If you get a check, if you can take what the government gives you every month and go to the bank and get cash for it, then you're damn right. Fucking drug test them. Because you know what? I can't go to Anheuser-Busch. I mean, I could if I wanted to. I mean, let's be real. It's my fault. But a person that is smoking the reefer, you can't just go out to Anheuser-Busch and say, hire me. I can sweep like nobody you've ever fucking seen and get a job without getting drug tested. If I got to do that to go get a good job, I mean, I'm a sound man. I work stage crew, local crew, that kind of thing. And while, yeah, sure, I love the living fuck out of what I do, I really don't make that much doing it. It's a labor of love and guitar picks. Broken drumsticks and T-shirts. That's really where the fuck it's at. eBay, baby. But, yeah, if you did that, people would actually come around and hey, you're not going to get the money from the government because you're sitting on your ass and smoking reefer. That's different for me. I get up, go to work. If I can get some reefer and somewhere, whatever, then you know what? Hey, guess what? I got a little reefer. Woohoo! But guess what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to get them to go to fucking work.
Yep.
It ain't always like that. But
RD in the chat room says, if you want those countries to take care of themselves, leave them the fuck alone. He says, don't just stop the giving, stop the taking. What are we taking, RD?
If I would like to personally extend a cyber hug, a high five, a smack on the ass, and a good game to RD. Good game.
Steve, if you've got the technology to call into this show like you're doing right now, you realize you could have your own radio show. Does that sound like something that's appealing to you?
No. But you know what? Every time I get a chance, and if I can sit in with you, I'll do it.
Well, you're always welcome here.
I'm sure people don't want to sit and listen to me yap all damn night.
Well, I think that too, and that's why I like to have guests on.
Because sadly,
I get sick of my own voice.
On the show, sadly, whatever topic it is, whether I'm politically informed or whether I'm politically correct, truth to some people is hard to take when you keep slapping them in the fucking mouth with it.
Yeah, it is.
And regardless, you know, hey, and I'll call myself out. I'll tell you if I do something that I'm preaching against, you know what? I'm wrong too. I'm part of the fucking problem.
Yep.
You know what? Yeah, I have a little bit of reefer, and so it might be illegal, and somebody might done something illegal to get it, or get it here, or transport it, or this, that, and the other. But you know what? Fuck it. So what? I'm part of the problem in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think they would fall in love with me in Denver. I would be hailed as I'm not sure what, but I'm sure somebody would hail me. I've got that kind of personality. And plus, once again, there's always, fuck them.
The old faithful, when things don't work out well with the arguments, fuck them.
Yep,
I have to use that sometimes.
You know, I love to just randomly holler out Peckerwood. Peckerwood.
You guys, some of you guys that are listening don't know it, but we occasionally will go ghost hunting back there in Old House Woods together, and a lot of times we don't see anything, but the conversation moves at Mach 6 at all times, and information is gained. It has to be. You can't put that many ideas together and not come up with some new conclusions, and we throw them out there.
I don't know if I would call it information. I don't know if I would call it information, but I would damn sure call it a lot of insight just gets laid out, like the Golden Road, wherever it is, the Golden Road to go to.
There you go.
I like chocolate milk.
All right, we're getting ready to close the show. I'll play a song here in a minute. I want to thank Mr. Steve the Swoop.
Wait a minute. Hold on. RD wants to know why they speak English and French in half of the African countries. RD, back at you. I got to tell you, you know what? Who cares? Fuck them. I don't speak French. I don't speak African. I don't speak South African. I don't speak Philip. I speak English, and sometimes I do a really shitty job at that. So if somebody in front of me doesn't speak English, I got to tell you, fuck them.
I think we should get you a shirt made.
If they're standing in front of me, not speaking English, they're doing it in the fucking country that I live in that happens to speak English. So once again, let me reiterate this. So maybe there might be somebody that didn't hear me, or they're sitting there with their hand over their ears going la 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 la. I don't care. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, say it with me, class. Fuck them.
Say it out loud, my friends.
I'm serious. Say it loud. Say it proud. Own that shit. Don't be scared. Don't stand behind somebody's skirt. Don't stand behind the Constitution. Don't stand behind none of that shit. If you're standing behind something, you don't ever see what's coming. Stand up.
You get hit with the fart.
Stand the fuck up. Don't stand behind. Stand the fuck up.
Steve, what song? I'm going to let you pick the song since you did the guest spot. At least the genre, because I know you don't know a lot of these cheap-ass songs I got because they're free. What genre would you like? Like metal or jazz?
Oh, my God. I would like some Herb Ellis.
I don't have any of that, man. What is that?
Well, let's see. What do you got? You got anything good? Are you telling me we're done?
Well, we're getting ready to, because my voice goes after about 2 hours. I can't talk anymore.
How come the people have to suffer because you're a pussy?
I know. I almost quit the other day after 1 hour, man, and had a guy say, "Hey, you don't cut this shit short." You know.
I must say that Mr. Kierstead is not a pussy. I'm gonna retract that last comment, which is something you'll rarely ever hear me do. I really don't think Kevin's a pussy. He's a tough guy.
If I am a pussy, I'm one of those tough ones that can take a beating, man.
Like,
you know those vaginas.
You'd be like Betty White's cooter. I bet you could drag her. You could drag her around the apartment by one leg just to see what you could fit in it.
Oh my God! It's like a saddlebag. What's in there?
It looked like a half a pound of roast beef laid over the clothesline.
Oh no! Oh no! That's not a camel toe. That's a brontosaurus toe.
For real. After the deed, it looked like a couple of wet cocker spaniel ears. You know, they dripped in the dog bowl. Ooh. But yeah, just as a recap for all the folks out there listening, yay on the death penalty, or boo on the death penalty, as it were. And there you go.
All right. You guys heard it from Mr. Steven Swoop Moya, and he's going to be back on the program in the future, we certainly hope, if he doesn't start his own show and take off running in another direction.
All right, I would like to be formally known from now on as Willie Earl.
Willie Earl.
Crazy
okay.
Willie Earl.
Crazy Willie Earl. You're going to have to remind us several times because people hate change.
Once again, say it with me, class. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Wait a minute, he gets up at 6:20. Where in the hell is RD at?
Good lordy. Are you in Australia now? 8:15, it's 2:15, 6 hours.
Fuck. He's in Hawaii. Is he in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Where the hell RD, man, where you from, bro?
No, he's got to be east of here.
No,
I'm thinking Australia or possibly Western Europe.
No, I'm betting. Yeah.
Holland? Okay.
Maybe he's a Kiwi. No, they're cool people. I met one of them once.
Yeah, I've had some friends from over there. Rotterdam, Holland. Holland is the shit, man.
That's just what she's saying. Where is he from? I'm betting he's from Hawaii.
Where are you from, RD? For real? Or is Kim It is Holland, okay.
All right.
All right.
Woot.
Yeah, man.
Hell
Talking
yeah,
about some red lights.
I want to come over and hang out with RD during the Cannabis Cup.
Man, you know, Mancal Muller's book, Dad, Dames, Demon, and Dwarf, he's talking about Holland, and he loved it over there. He just fucking loved it. He almost stayed.
Yeah, but Mancal's a putz.
That's why he lost his show.
I dig him for what he does, but he takes it. He's more. I don't know. He tells the truth, but he's mean about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mean. I don't think I'm mean about it. Maybe I am sometimes. Maybe I'm a putz. I don't know. But Mancal's a putz.
You mean he's got an edge to him that's just a little bit cutting rather than just being laid back and telling the truth?
Well, he had to go out and top Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And sadly
Who
enough,
he calls coward sperm.
Howard Stern set the bar. Now, granted, however low he may have set it, or however high he may have set it, it's been surpassed for what he is, the shock jock.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit on. I'll sit on your show. Maybe if I had my own show or something like that. But I'm not. No, I'm not like a man cow or nothing like that. I couldn't be, because they're mindless fucking idiots.
I appreciate what Howard Stern does. I used to listen to him and Mancow. I found out from a friend of mine, Todd, that Mancow used to have people act out scenarios. They would call in and pretend that it was fresh and new and real, but it was acted out. It was prepared. And to me, that's lying. And that's when I lose respect.
That's an assault on your dumbass sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, if he said, hey, we're going to act out a scenario, good. Entertain me. I'm good with that.
And if you don't have a dumbass sensory organ in your body, for Christ's sakes, go get one.
RD says they don't say fuck them. They don't say fuck them in Holland, Steve.
Wait, what do y'all say there?
That's a good question. What would you say in Holland?
For real? No, I mean, if I come to Holland, I need to know what to say. If I don't know but them 2 words, that's all I need to say. Fuck. They'll know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be sitting in the bar anyway, not drinking.
They have a beer over there called Fart, I think. I think it's called Fart.
That's awesome. I'm diabetic. I can't drink.
I'm kind of glad I can't drink anymore. I mean, I can drink. I just get stupid when I do, so I don't.
Kim's telling me they Kim's telling me they communicate, and they communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
Do they speak English?
It sounds like, from what RD's saying, they speak whatever language the person in front of them is. We get those languages in school from 8 or 9 years old, so they have to speak 3 languages off the get-go.
But see, you know what? That's awesome. I wish, honest to God, I wish I could speak like German and French.
Me too. I'd love to speak 3 or 4 languages.
Because then if I ever got my time machine, it would work out.
You're going after Hitler, aren't you?
Maybe.
Der erste Freude ist die Schadenfreude.
I don't know what you said, but if it meant fuck Hitler, that's where I'm at.
It was from an old Dale Carnegie book, and I think it meant the purest and most malicious joy we take is in the misfortunes of those we have envied.
Right on. A lot of my shit comes from Richard Pryor live comedy.
Live on Sunset Strip? I remember
Dracula. What kind of name is that one?
We'll do comedy next. We'll do comedy next show, man. We'll just do little bits from old comedians. How about that?
Oh, see, I got to sharpen up my Flip Wilson then.
Uh-oh. He'll have a plan then, y'all.
No, but see, we can't have a plan because then that'll make it a lie, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I would. I like the impromptu. I like going off the cuff. Because I think truth kind of spills out when you don't have a plan. You know, you're forced to stumble across it. You know, it just sort of spills out. I like that. Carlin for the win, says RD. I like George Carlin. I think he had a very narrow focus, though. He believed there was one right way and 40,000 wrong ways. And I think there's more than one right way.
No.
I just
That's
don't know
why
what
you
they
never
are.
call it the other right way. There is the right way. not the almost right way. I'm gonna tell you what, with what I do for a living on stagehand, I don't want the rigger up in the rafters. I don't want him to do it the other right way. I want him to do it the right way. There's only one right way. Man opens your chest up and he's working on your heart and it's open heart surgery. Do you want him to do the other right way, or do you want him to do it the right way?
I want him to do it any way that lets me live.
No, because there ain't but one way to do that. And
Well, they
that's
say
the right
there's 7 ways to skin a cat.
Nope.
I've never skinned a cat, personally.
Let me ask you a question. You know, hypothetically, of course. If you take the skin off a cat, that was the objective, right?
Right.
Well, if you take the skin off a cat, there won't but one way to do it, and that was to take the skin off the cat. How the fuck you did it don't matter. The skin off the cat, that's what matters.
And there's your lesson in skinning cats tonight, people.
Now, I didn't tell you where to start or nothing. I would never skin a cat. I would leave that to the Chinese restaurant.
That's right. And they do it well.
Hell yeah.
How come they don't have cat skin jackets over there? You know they got a lot of cat fur left over.
Because they meal it up and feed it to their animals.
Ah, okay.
They boil it down with everything they don't use off pigs and whatnot and make meal out of it, and they feed it to their livestock.
I see. So now y'all know what you're eating.
I guess that would make sense to me. If it was my country, that's what I'd do.
We'll have to talk about, next time we do a show, we'll have to talk about North Korea and how they handle their laws.
You know what I think we ought to do? I think we ought to take, and you pick a country, and I'll pick a country, and we'll make that country our own personal utopia, and then we come on the show and tell everybody how we did it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Can I pick Australia?
Well, yeah.
All right, I'll pick Australia.
All right, I'm picking, I'm going to pick Borneo.
Borneo, all right.
Borneo I think I'm going to go with Borneo. Or Rhode Island.
All right. So today's Thursday. Maybe we'll do that on a Saturday night or something when everybody's got time and beer.
Well, no, I'm going to be working. I'm going to be doing the Leanne Rimes show at Busch Gardens on Saturday.
Okay. Ah, okay. When's your next night off where you have freedom the next day?
Monday.
Monday night? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's not football season yet, so we could pull in the Monday Night Football crowd.
Well, it depends on what game's on. I mean, you know, if the Raiders are playing, I'll still do the show. Because I don't, you know,
All right,
you know, I love them and all, but it's not like they're going to win.
He's going to be doing Leanne Rhymes. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Right? Don't you have to buy her a drink first?
Not if you catch her at the right time in the dressing room.
We call this rehearsal. That's all.
Yeah, that's what she gonna think too. Yeah, we're gonna call this rehearsal. I don't think that's gonna work out. She needs a cheeseburger anyway. She's a skinny little girl. That's no fun. I mean, I'm 6'4.5". It's gonna hurt. Something's gonna give.
Oh.
Something's gonna give. I mean, I'm a big man. She ain't big as a minute. That's why I can't deal with midgets. Oh, I'm sorry, little people, fucking midgets.
I call them midgets.
Always looking up at you like they want something.
Oh my God!
I hated it when people like they tell them, "Ooh, they're dwarves." No, because unless you got a magical battle axe, you're not a fucking dwarf. You're a midget.
I hear you, man. Tattoo was a fucking midget. I know that.
And he was a cool one too. He let you know what's up.
The only thing that was up was the plane.
Right. Now you see what I did there?
Yeah, I got it. I got it now in retrospect. Steve was setting me up, man.
This is fun. I like this. But yeah, it's good to know that there's only 3 people listening.
Oh no, there's more than that. That thing gets updated if you refresh your page. But a lot of people listen to the podcast later through Spreaker and iHeart, so you get a lot more listens than just a few.
All right, well that's cool for those people on the iPodcast or whatever they call it later on. If you like me, cool. If you don't, once again, fuck them.
Fuck them. Hey, do you want to give them your Facebook page or anything to get in touch with you if they want to send some ideas your way?
God, no.
Can't blame you.
No.
Anonymity is beautiful.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll make a new Facebook page specifically for this, and its name will be Crazy Willie Earl.
Crazy Willie Earl it is. And since you didn't pick a song, your discussion about Leanne Rhymes made me think that Hot Core Down Below sung by Snowflake would be appropriate because it's very sexual in nature.
I know. Well, we're not doing sexual tonight. You know what we're doing? We're doing truth.
What are we doing?
Right? We're doing impromptu. Okay. We're doing bluegrass.
Bluegrass? I don't have any, man. The closest thing I have to bluegrass is jazz with a banjo.
If I could put my hands on you right now.
See, I'm one of the few people that follows the copyright laws, so I don't get my show canceled. So it leaves the pickings right slim.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or otherwise, I'd just have all the popular stuff loaded up, you know.
Well, I guess here's one. This is for Kim specifically.
Okay.
I bet you don't have it. It doesn't have a copyright. You can play it as much as you want, anytime you want, anywhere you want, as loud as you want. Although I don't know why you would do that. And I picked the song Mustang Sally.
Mustang Sally. I don't even have anything like that. Isn't that like a 50s kind of rock song?
No, it's the shittiest song ever written.
Oh, okay.
Just when you look it up, look under that category and it'll come up.
All right.
Damn.
I've got jazz.
Just play some nice instrumental jazz. That would be nice.
Instrumental jazz. I think I could find that. Let me check this out real quick. Blue Circles.
I guess asking for an artist would be too much.
Yeah, I don't have anybody you would recognize here.
How about Diana Krall? Do you have any Diana Krall?
No. I've literally got I've got like 12 artists here, and nobody knows who they are.
Read them off. Tell me who. Read them off.
I got Rupert 1073, Sack Joe 22, Alex. Who the fuck is Alex? Nobody knows. Jairus, Dark Side of Your Heart. That's actually a pretty good one. It's kind of a blues, I'm very sad song. Miss Motherfucking Vibe, Summertime. Love Shadow, Snowflake, Jay Lang, Doka Shatiru, Duckett,
all right.
and Scomber.
I'll take Summertime.
Summertime, okay. You know that's going to be a female rap song.
I don't care. It's Summertime. It's not the how it's done. It's the where it leaves you when it is done.
Okay,
and
well that's fitting for the season.
If you know the original Summertime, and if it's what I'm hoping it's the song Summertime by the great Ella Fitzgerald, but it's a different rendition.
It could be. I don't know enough about music to know if it was based on something real or if it was some studio creation. But we'll find out.
Either that or she's rapping to Will Smith.
No, it's not that. I've heard it before. It doesn't sound like his Summertime. It sounds kind of ghetto, to be honest with you.
Oh, well then don't play it for Christ's sake. Something, I don't care. You pick it. I gotta send you some music.
I know one Kim really likes because it's loaded with funk, 1970s era funk.
Oh, is that the one with the horn?
Yes. That's a lot of horns.
I'm gonna get you a copy of that Mustang Sally so you can play it on there. Every time I'm on there, I want that to be my entrance music.
I can do that. Hey, I have Bad Ace. I got all their stuff here. Almost all of it.
My condolences.
Oh. Yikes.
How come you
and a brutal silence.
Hey, how come you don't have no 10'6" shit up in there?
Is that a local band?
Once again, if I could put my hands on you...
I'm not a music guy, man. I don't know music. I don't know music. It's not my area. I like good music. I'm just not an expert at it.
Yeah, I'll figure out a way to get you some. You'll get some 10'6".
Okay. If you can email me the MP3s or whatever, I'll load them right into the software and we'll queue them up.
All right, so
I'm trying to see.
Can I download them to a CD and then give him the CD and then you get the CD and then play the cool shit on the radio?
I can do that. I have to transfer them, but yeah, as long as they're in MP3 format, I can play them.
Oh, nope.
Yeah,
that's cool.
As long as there's no copyright issues I have to worry about. Because they're assholes, man. How about mind map that? Please don't wish me a Merry Christmas.
No.
No? Mana Junkie, Reflections in the Rain?
You know what? I'm going to go with that one because it sounds kind of fucking cool.
Okay. It actually is pretty laid back and cool. I don't remember, but you guys been listening to Truth on Tap. Your friend and co-host Steve the Shroop and Kevin Kierstead in his house, and we'll do another show soon. You got any parting words for the people, Steve?
Always remember, just because you ain't paranoid, that don't mean they ain't out to get you. Never kick a man when he's down, unless your foot's all that much closer to his head. And see, what else? Love thy neighbor unless you're going to get caught.
Hey, accidents happen in threes, man. We just saw that. There it is, man. You guys were listening to Steve and Kev, not talking about Hev, and we will do another show again soon. This I can assure you. Thank you, Mr. Steve, for being on the program. And for those of you that didn't get to call in, I know I had a couple of people try. We'll get you next time. But got to hear what you're thinking, man. Got to know what you're thinking. We need more. The chat room was busy tonight. I wish I had gotten more of the participants' stuff on the air. But when Steve and I talk, it's It's kind of like being in a roller coaster car. And what you were doing before is paying attention to all the people standing in line. Well, now the thing's rolling. So you're not really focused on the people in line anymore, unless they jump on the car with you, and then you're going together. So we'll need more of you to get on the roller coaster next time, and we'll do that way. But since Steve wanted to hear it, it's going to be Mana Junkie, Reflections in the Rain, featuring Only Meth. Actually, it's Only Meath. Only Meath. MEITH, which changes that entire definition. For those of you that don't know how to find me or follow me, I'm going to play a quick commercial for you before that. After we play this, Mana Junkie, Reflections in the Rain, that's going to be the end of the show. And that is that, so here goes
You're
this.
listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned, or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode, or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
to Truth on